Hey, everybody. We will be getting started shortly. Tonight's episode is obviously discussing the aftermath of a three-peats from America and some transfer rumors now that we are in the off season. Bear with us. We'll be getting ready in just a few minutes. Hello, can you hear me?
Sí, güey. ¿Tú a mí?
Yeah.
Alright, ¿qué pedo, güey? ¿Andas triste o qué?
Nah.
Mucho piano.
No, that's the default music, I guess.
Alright, I'll say, sí,
Nah, I wouldn't put that
at
shit on.
least give me some Raúl Di Blasio or something like that. No mames. Not this shit.
Yeah. Just waiting for
Alright,
what's up?
question. Do we have Ricky confirmed for the night?
I don't know. He's been MIA.
Dude, we need Ricky tonight.
I know. I want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Ay, Ricky. Ojalá no se hizo OD, güey, porque neta, I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know, man. He might have.
Like, they rivaled Argentina World Cup. Like, that's how fucking
Oh,
loose
I
they
bet,
were.
dude. Yeah.
Like, era todo un pedo, güey. So, can't wait. It's gonna be good tonight. I didn't write anything down, but I'm just gonna let it rip.
Yeah. There's Horley. All right, let me kick this off then. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cantina MX Football Podcast, episode 445, and probably the last one for the year. America is campeón for the third time in a row, but we're here to show face. We're here to talk about the match, the aftermath, and where they stack up in the history of the game in Liga MX. We also have Pachuca handling business on the international stage. They face Real Madrid tomorrow for all the marbles. And of course, it wouldn't be a podcast without some Chivas rumors, some transfer rumors now that the season is over. But before I go any further, I want to welcome everybody to the show on Twitter Spaces and on YouTube. Joining us, of course, our number one Cruz Azul fan, Abdias. How we doing?
Buenas, putos. Pues, chingao. Any day above the ground is a good day, right? Porque, güey, como dije la semana pasada, esa pinche bala se miraba bien sabrosa. Y luego con un pinche tricampeonato de las Huilas. It's been rough, man, but here we are.
Here we are, showing face. And my good friend Joel is here too. How we doing?
Really good, Jaime. And you forgot one more massive news, which was La Bola quitting FMF. I know no one cares about La Bola, but there's a lot of implications there. Some little rumors going on then that Aguirre might leave, which I don't think there's much to them. I think they're just attached because people are like, who? But there's definitely, if this guy is leaving FMF, there's something going on. There's some weird movements. And what a way to start next year already. That is madre in the Federación.
Yeah, so the Mexican Federation Commissioner resigns, Juan Carlos Rodriguez, and there was a fallout there. It seemed like there was some things going on about TV rights and all this stuff. So.
Señoritas, antes de que nos metamos al chisme, vamos a hablar de fútbol. All right?
It is football.
I know, but we just had a fucking final. All right. If we want to talk about the business dealings, we can go ahead and we can fill in quite a bit of time. Because wait, eso está bueno. Like, this is good. This is like Game of Thrones level type shit that has been happening behind the scenes. In fact, if we want to follow like the timeline, let's be honest, this whole thing started on Friday before the final happened.
Yeah. Well, look, let's start there because I want to wait for some America fans to show up tonight so they can fucking,
yeah.
We can capture their orgasm in 4K, but right now I'll be honest, I really don't know like all the things that happened on the business side of Liga MX, but it seemed like some shit went down. So if anyone can explain exactly what happened and some of the events that led up to this resignation.
Oh, I've been following this one very closely. That's why the whole thing is near and dear to my heart. So I guess I'll kick off this whole thing with, because this whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, is another installment of Liga MX, FMF, Game of Thrones, right? So here's what ended up happening. We threw out the old regime, which used to be Igaragorri, right? After the whole fucking World Cup thing and that massive disaster, up until that point, let's remember, era Papi Escarrega, who always had the reins of Televisa, always had the reins of El Tri, right? That's the way it was going. That's what was always going down. They gave Tata carte blanche to go in, do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, no one was allowed to question him. He didn't even spend time in the country, right? But okay, cool. After all that shakes out, there is a reworking of hierarchy within La Federación de Fútbol. And that's where you see Igaragorri magically get the reins, right? Be in control. And that's where all of a sudden you see, Diego Coca gets named as the interim. Coca happens. Coca gets fired.
He wasn't the interim. He was the
sorry. He was the main coach.
He was the main coach. He was...
Sorry, wait. There's been so much around this one. Now I'm getting a couple things fucked up, but that's right. He was the main coach. He gets announced. Because he wasn't even part of the conversation. Part of the conversation at that time was Almeida, was Nacho Cuadro, y era ¿quién era el
Almada,
otro,
¿no?
güey?
Almada.
Almada, güey, siempre digo
Wait,
ese
wait,
pinche
Miguel
apellido
Diaz.
mal.
I think you skipped one part.
¿Cuál?
And then when Rigori takes over, he creates a commission he names like a couple of the presidents from the different clubs, including Amaury. At which point I was like, this dude's not serious.
Oh,
and
yeah. When they proposed their plan, right? When they proposed the plan.
but there was a key thing to that. If you remember, he 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 named or he invited a Pachuca guy to be a part of it, and he puts him on blast because he goes on Televisa, not Televisa, on Fútbol Picante, and he talks about how they weren't gonna take him serious, and he just didn't want to
Wait,
be
didn't they
like.
say? Didn't he go and say like, oh yeah, we had Biesla, and they said no?
Yeah, he said they didn't even interview him.
Well, that's because the Biesla deal was tied to the power coming back to TUDN, Televisa. But because Igaragorri was in charge, that's why Coca got named. Dude, remember, no one was talking about Coca at that time. It was, who do we want? We want Nacho Cuaro. We want el güey que está en Pachuca. O queremos a... ¿Quién era el otro güey? Había un pinche tercero.
Bielsa was a big one.
But Bielsa wasn't a realistic one that we wanted in Mexico. Like in Mexico, we wanted Max Blood. But or Jimmy. Jimmy was the other one that we were like, es un pendejo, pero there's Jimmy. No one really wants him. So we
he
get
had
Coca.
won the Olympic.
Sí, güey, pero
He was writing on that.
Pero Nacho Cuaro, todo lo demás que había, güey, no queríamos a Jimmy tanto. Pero está bueno, güey. Ahí estaba, era como el pastel de la quinceañera. Nadie se lo come, pero todos lo ven. ¿Verdad? Ahí está. Luego, then what happens is we want RG blood, we want foreigner blood, we get Coca out. Now, all of a sudden, when that happens in the background of La Federación, there is a huge power struggle where el director and a lot of the people end up without a job because Igaragorri has lost the juice. He's no longer in control. And guess who all of a sudden gets named as the new high commissioner? La Bomba. All right. Who is La Bomba? Guy. That's exactly it. Who is La Bomba? Well, La Bomba is the former head of Univision. He's also an old school Televisa guy. All of these things were lining up of, all right, well, why are we bringing him in? What does this guy do? And it's like, okay, well, he's a television exec, right? He can run deals with televisions. He can do all of these things. He has access to different back channels that we don't have access to. Okay, perfect. He gets named, he comes in, and that's when all of a sudden you hear about this committee. You start hearing about the pillars to restructure Liga MX and to restructure General Fútbol Mexicano. Right? If you guys remember, it was like a 7-minute video that was released through X, through Twitter, because they wanted it to go directly to the people. They didn't want for the they didn't want for the news media to be the ones giving out this communication. They wanted for it to be direct and for it to feel like if he is speaking directly to you, the fan. All right, cool. That happens. And that time is when Jimmy gets named as the interim. Jimmy gets named as interim. Cool. Boom. He gets promoted to the main spot. Now we don't know what the fuck is going on.
No, he wins the Gold Cup. He wins the Gold Cup, so he gets. They give him the. No, tienes que decirlo.
No, ya sé, güey, ya sé. Por eso, güey, dale. Dale.
No, that was it. They named Jimmy as interim, as you said, and he fucking wins the Gold Cup.
He earns it, right? Like Mexico starts to feel a little bit better because now, hey, we have Beaners at the helm. Like you always feel better when it's your own people in charge.
Yeah, well, and I said we have to add. There was like you said earlier, how the World Cup was a failure, and at the start of Coca, he didn't really have much time. But losing to the U.S., the media just sort of attached to that and just piled it on from the previous and made things look worse than they really were.
And then
Nobody was
also-
happy with Coca though. He was the candidate because he gave Atlas a bicampeonato, but nobody really liked his style. And he was a foreigner. It was like a double whammy.
That was
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
then the other thing is, you have to remember the players played their part, right? That game
yeah,
against the
dude.
US, I loved it. ¿Por qué? Porque fueron puros pinches putazos por 90 minutos, right? Like, there wasn't football, there was putazos, there was hits, there was push. It was a dirty fucking game. Personally, I loved it. Right, but of course, televisers and the commentators are like, "Oh, how is this possible?" I was like, "Bro, this is one of the best Mexico games that I've seen in a long time. Están enseñando huevos y de qué están hechos. So si no les puedes ganar, por lo menos ve y parte de la madre."
Yeah, yeah.
It's like they always told me growing up, way, Ira, if you get into a fight and you lose, I'm gonna kick your ass when you get home. All
I thought
right,
you
so
were
you
gonna say
learn that
like the-
fucking lesson.
I thought you were gonna say like that defender saying either the ball gets through or the player, but not both.
Ahí
but-
estás.
Yeah,
No, güey, yo soy
sí.
más de barrio. Yo soy más de barrio, es lo que me dijeron a mí. Si vas a echar putazos, más vale que seas fino, mijo, porque si no, los putazos son aquí en la casa.
Damn.
Eso, aprendí, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Mira, güey, la única pelea que perdí fue contra un pinche perro callejero y fue porque él quería el chorizo más que yo. Like, si no, güey, hubiera llegado a la casa de la carnicería sin pedo.
But and I want to add a bit more context because throughout this whole time, and even like especially like right after the World Cup, a lot of the media was just chipping away at the national team to the point where you even had people saying like asking the fans to boycott games and to do all this, and I think we saw it for the first time, at least since I've been watching, where it did get to that point where people weren't going to the stadium. Stadiums weren't selling out and whatnot.
It was
People
starting
did
to
think-
get to the point. You were starting to
Yeah.
see that fan fatigue starting to build, right? So that's what happened with Coca, right? That's why Coca gets fired, because there's this famous saying, and I fucking love it. And I said it in the last time. Era un sapo de otro pozo. Like, he just didn't fucking belong here. And as much as I hate to say that, Mexico has hinges of xenophobia. And that fucking peaked its head through right there, the moment that we went to another RG. But nonetheless, right, now we're getting back to where we were before, which is Jimmy wins the World Cup. Not the World Cup, sorry. Wow, pinche sueño, ¿verdad, güey?
I like
Jimmy
that
wins, right? I wish.
term.
Jimmy wins the Gold Cup. He keeps the job, then starts to shit the bed, right? Everyone, the whole fucking drum was, estamos con Jimmy, estamos con Jimmy. Jimmy es nuestro técnico. Tenemos un proceso hasta el 2026. Tenemos da 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 da. And guess what? The news breaks. Jimmy's been fired.
Wait, doesn't he lose to the U.S.? Does he lose to the U.S.?
You know what, bro? I'm not even going to get into semantics right now.
Didn't we lose?
I can't remember exactly what happened.
It was the Nations League. I'm pretty sure we lost it, and then
It was.
and then we also didn't have a for the Copa America. I forgot.
Oh, was it
It was
Copa
Copa
America?
America. It was
he
Copa
failed
America
to- he failed to
that
get
fucked
to
us.
out of the group stage. He failed to get and the team didn't play bad. They just lacked the goal, but they faced some strong rivals that had been doing really good up until then, real good in CONMEBOL qualifiers. Venezuela posted their best ever Copa America, and Ecuador had also been doing pretty good. I don't know currently. So I mean, yeah, it was messed up on that part, how the media never backed them up, and they pretty much set him up to hang there, and just made it seem how it was like a massive fracaso. To me, it wasn't. I mean, you do want to advance always, but like las formas cuentan. It was the only game lost was on a penalty. So that none of the teams scored on Mex, and so it's just unfortunate at that point. But it's not like Mexico had a team that you could say they could fight for the Copa. They sort of like changed the narrative where it was supposed to be generational change because that was the key word going on, where they were trying to force it.
When the groups were
They were
announced,
trying to,
though, like when the groups were announced, people thought, "Oh, this is an accessible group: Ecuador, Qatar,
yeah,
and Venezuela," and everybody thought, "Oh,
not Argentina.
this is like, oh, this should be a group where Mexico easily gets out,"
Yeah,
and they didn't even get out, and neither did the states, by the way. So it was a failure
no,
for all CONCACAF
that was
teams.
the big failure for them because that's the
Senor,
golden
speak to
generation.
yourself. Canada did a great job.
Oh yeah,
All
Yeah.
right, my home and native land, the land of tall blonde baddies, they did pretty good, bro.
They say maple syrup. Did they get to what, like,
No, bro, that's what they drip.
quarters? Yeah, no, yeah, everyone did think because historically, yeah, those teams aren't strong. But I mean, bro, look at what they're doing. At least going into that Copa, look what they've been doing in arguably the most difficult qualifier, World Cup qualifier region. So these dudes have been, you know, throwing hands and being dangerous, and to just expect that it was, it's very misleading.
I mean, Mexico has had a problem with, I want to say, the media being misleading and, as they say in Spanish, inflando el globo, right? Just
Yeah,
making this thing grow to something that it's not really is. Building a house of glass. That's like, bro, you're not who you think you are. Right? So, okay, then that house of glass comes shattering down when we finally start to face real opposition that isn't fucking CONCACAF, that isn't like shitty little islands, right? We start to face those big dogs, the ones that we've been afraid of every single time that we bump up against. So we lose there, and like I said, when we lose and we're out, the whole speeches are "Estamos con Jimmy." We're backing Jimmy up. This is the process. They went on fucking live TV and defended it from La Federación. And
oh,
then I want to
Federación did.
say,
The two guys, that's right. The
yeah,
Federación did, but the media was, I would say they were not with Jimmy. The whole cup,
no,
I
no, no.
think they were like putting the rope around his head.
Lo estaban puteando porque todos sabían que la Federación iba a hacer some type of fuckboy move. And guess what happens? Like literally over the weekend, boom, Aguirre gets named. Jimmy's out. There's no interim period. It's just Aguirre's
Yeah,
in,
and
right?
and this is the other part that we have to question, and I guess we would know, but maybe some years down the line, was that like Jimmy left out players that he was counting on, like Henry,
Because the thing
and they
is,
were.
Jimmy sold the idea of a generational change, and it
Oh, I
never
know.
came and it wasn't coming, right?
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, and he never said it himself, but all of the buzz at that time that came about was
oh
when
yeah, so
Tuca
maybe
and La
another
Volpe
reason.
came about and said, "Nos forzan jugadores." They force players upon us. They tell us who to take, who not to take. And Tucas was very open and said, when I was at the helm, I didn't give a shit because I was an interim. I gave him a sheet and told me, tell me who you want me to take, and I'll build a team around them. Right? La Volpe said that he wanted to take Corona to the World Cup, and then they told him, no, take el puto que hace sandwich. ¿Verdad? So those are the things that started to come out around that time when we started to see the inner workings of FMFA and how money is the most important thing. And during that time, everyone was like, okay, well, dude, we've gone through three three managers. We've done all of these things. There's been a lot of rumblings, but what the fuck is being done in the background? What are we like building towards? Because we have this World Cup that we're going to. The style, the way that we're playing is not really going. What the fuck is happening? And then all of a sudden, at the beginning of this tournament, right, you hear well, actually, last year at the beginning of 2023, you start to hear rumblings about investment coming to Mexico, and we've talked about it about how Mexico has one of the projected highest growing GDPs. Mexico has all of these things going for it. How investment would be welcomed. How all of these things are happening. And then at the start of this tournament, we start to hear the buzz of a North American fund that wants to come into Mexico. Then all of a sudden, there's a name attached to it, and it's the Apollo Fund. And then you start to hear a little bit more, and you start to gather bits and pieces. And I said it at the beginning, right? I was like, "Hey, there's something that I'm following. It's very interesting. It's this. We'll see what it develops into." As time went on, it turns out that it's an investment firm, right? It's a development fund aimed to improve the league, to make it all better, to essentially bring us to the fucking 21st century, right? The biggest thing and one of the pillars that is based upon is unified broadcasting rights. Because as of right now, and we've said it before, watching Liga MX abroad or even in Mexico is a fucking crapshoot. In Mexico, you have Azteca, you have Televisa, you have Caliente, you have Amazon, then you have VIX, you have Estrella Premium, you have fucking ESPN, you have all of these things. And then abroad, you have Univision, TUDN, um, Telemundo, and Estrella TV. That's who you have to watch your games through. Now, if you're trying to piecemeal it and you buy all of the subscription services, it's fucking ridiculous. If you try to go through VIX, it's a hot piece of shit. If you go through Fubo, it's even worse because of the ads. So you can't watch the league abroad. So then, okay, cool. What's going on here? This is coming. All right, cool. Where do the numbers shake out? Well, the numbers shake out really funny because we all know how Mexico works. Mexico works by impunity, right? By the fact that you can do whatever the fuck you want and you can get away with it. Fun fact, I believe the last time that I looked up the number, it was 76% of crime in Mexico goes by unpunished. And I'm talking about everyday crime, whether petty or major crime, it goes unpunished in Mexico. There is a culture of impunity within Mexico, which is a beautiful thing. But nonetheless, that just is how it goes, right? A lot of things happen under the table. Now, with that being said, when the investment fund came in, it looked at the clubs, it looked at their TV rights, it looked at their sponsorships, it looked at their money on the books. And then the way it shook out was both Monterrey's, right, Los Regios, would be getting 12% of the fund a pop. Chivas and America would only be getting 11% of the fund. Cruz Azul would be getting 8% of the fund. Pumas, Toluca would be getting 6%. Santos, Atlas, and Leon would be 7%. TJ, San Luis, and Juarez would be 3%. Necaxa, sorry, Necaxa, Mazatlan, Querétaro, and Puebla would be getting 7%, right? And it's all based on how much your TV rights are worth, how much your kit's worth, because they would also be paying sponsorship to clean up the shirts. Because right now, depending on who you look at, bro, you look like a NASCAR kid, and even worse, NASCAR might look better than you because you have way too much shit going on your kits. So they were gonna clean all that up. All those things were happening. Well, a lot of teams like America not being the highest earning team on books is like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, where's that money? Where are you hiding it? What's happening? So teams would have to open up their books. They would have to be transparent as to where the money is going in order to have these teams come in. And that's where you start to hear the first signs of opposition. It's like, wait, you're telling me America, one of the biggest clubs, isn't worth this as much as we all perceive it is? Even fucking, like, let's take a quick look at those old numbers. Toluca, Pumas, those teams. How are you not, making more than what these books tell us? So either one, you have to show us your books, right? You have to show us how much money you're making, or you're going to eat shit and take less than what you're supposed to. So that was the first point of contention. Then came that they told everybody, hey, for the next foreseeable future, for the next year, restrain from signing any type of major contracts. Don't sign any broadcasting deals. Don't sign new sponsorship deals. Don't sign any of those things because we're about to go live into this one, and having new deals and new everything kind of messes up the entire pie. Well, hey, if you're judging me based off of my sponsorship deals and things like that, guess what a lot of teams did? Guess what Chivas did? What did Chivas do? Where's your money coming from? Amazon. Your Amazon deal, right? Tigres also signed an Amazon deal. The Pachuca teams are still there. The Botaneros are still their own separate thing. America just signed a deal with Adidas now, where their kits are going to be made by Adidas rather than Nike. So all of these teams split out and fragmented and started doing their own things. So that was another blow to the investment fund. And now the last one and the biggest one came this past Friday in La Junta de Dueños, right? Where everyone gets together and you have an owners meeting. And at that point, La Bomba came in, presented the project. This is what it was going to be. And the hanging point, the point where everybody said, nah, fuck that, get it out of here, was a 5% commission due to the work that he's been busting his ass off to do. And all of these owners said, no, that 5% commission is too much. Why is there a 5% commission attached? And at that point, when his work and his efforts were questioned, he said, fuck it, I'm out. You guys don't want it. You guys are going to vote it down, and you're questioning my work. I don't need this. And that's when La Bomba left. That marks the last chapter that we put into the song of greed and Mexican football, known as FMF.
That's crazy.
Now we're
I just want to chime in real quick, Adias. There's some context that I also want to add, and that's the fact that Televisa or Azcárraga is weak right now. He's on like house arrest. He's under a microscope. His empire is in jeopardy. It could be, probably not. But like that's also
say why me riffraff.
And so what's it called? His grasp on the mantle loosened, right? And then Rafa Ramos put it so perfectly when he said, La Bomba made history because never before had Azteca, Caliente, Orlegui, Grupo Pachuca had gotten together and ousted the person in power. Like there was always something in for them, like something where they could benefit from Televisa's reign. And for the first time ever, like that wasn't the case. So they had no problem going against Televisa's La Bomba, and so when he realized that, that's when he was like, I'm out, fuck this, like it's not gonna work, and everyone's against me, and this has never happened before. So I just wanted to add that bit of context because I think that's important.
Yeah, well, we gotta add why Azcárraga is weak, and it has to do with FIFA Gate. It came back, and he had to step down from like his roles. He did like a temporary step down, possibly to keep his companies from being
investigated.
Investigated. But yeah, that's, and perhaps his firm, his grasp on the Federación. We don't know yet, because we don't know how this is all going to play out. It could go either way. It could go many ways, actually. But depends who comes in and takes over. And is it an Azcárraga man, right? Or is it someone neutral, or someone that leans to the other side of the power structure? Because we've seen it in the past when you've had non-Televisa people at the helm controlling FMF, and that's why, like, if you guys get a chance, I recommend you guys see the podcast with Rafael Lebrija. I think
So,
that's the
so,
one.
so one thing to like point out: whenever someone outside of Televisa is in charge, they get the carpet pulled out from under their feet as soon as their legs get shaky, as soon as they stumble. Like Coca, for instance, like the people
Yeah,
who put him in charge. I think it was like Orlegi and Pachuca, and then as soon as things like went remotely sour, they were ousted, and Azteca took. I mean, Televisa took the reign again. And right now, like according to Rafa Ramos, they're saying that Aguirre and Marquez are in jeopardy. Like
yeah. I think.
as soon
I'm
as
sorry. Go
Aguirre
ahead.
found out, as soon as Aguirre found out that La Bomba was gone, he offered to follow suit, and La Bomba supposedly told him like, no, just sit tight for now. Let's see what's going to happen. But for sure, what's in jeopardy is Marquez taking over at the end of this World Cup cycle. Like because all of this is like the plans or the schematics laid down by Televisa and Azcárraga and La Bomba. And so, like, if someone else takes over, they're going to want to start from scratch. So, someone who's been caught in the crossfire, who's been catching strays, is Marquez, who gave up, a very promising future in Europe, in Barcelona. So, that's in
Yeah,
jeopardy.
but that I don't. I think to me that, and this is just my opinion. The average fan, they don't care about La Bomba. It's and we could go around asking former president, and no one's gonna really know or give a shit. And the way to make this a better news, a better hook, to get fans to, it will be that, oh, these guys were, you know, they were tied to the him, so they're willing to leave. And to me, it doesn't look probable to me, just because, as you said, what Marquez gave up. But I mean, if you're leaving, you're quitting. You're not taking your money. Do you know what I mean? Because you quit. You have to get sacked to keep that money. And these guys have some juicy contracts. Marquez contract goes all the way to 2030. I, I mean, I'm willing to bet it's between 20 and 30 million, even with
I
those
don't know about
other,
that, Chief.
other. Think about how much is it a year? How much you think he's getting paid a year?
He's an assistant.
But he's going to be the main coach for the other 4 years. And they weren't going to just give him assistant money. So, I mean, I'm guessing he's getting between 2 and 3 a year. And plus whatever other stuff's attached to that. Um, Same with Aguirre. Aguirre has fucking money. He didn't give a shit. They offered him, they brought in a dump truck full of cash, come back, you know? And so, I mean, and Aguirre's at the tail end of his career. This is his swan song. I don't think he's going to throw it away and end up coaching another relegation bound La Liga team, just because La Bola rage quit. I think he's gonna make history as the first Mex to coach 3 World Cups, possibly get that quinto partido, and then he could just drift off into the sunset, and his part's done. But I don't see them. I don't see them walking away because this guy left. I don't. I think that's more of a. I'll be surprised if that happens, but I doubt it. I
So,
find it
so,
very
so I
improbable.
so I forget who coined this term, but there's like this geopolitical analyst who likens corporations, and these are all corporations, Televisa, Azteca, Grupo Pachuca, Orlegi, they're all corporations, right? And he likens corporations to animals in the jungle who, when threatened, are ruthless, and then like you have like the lion from like another pride will kill the cubs of a pride, right? Like and I think that happens in the corporate world all the time. And what happened is, as Abdias put it, like their livelihoods were put in jeopardy with this new deal, where they would be stripped slowly but surely of their power over something that they've controlled and profited from for generations, right? Like the Wild West days of Mexican soccer would be over with this new deal. And so they reacted like any cornered animal. And you know, they initiated this coup d'etat, and we're seeing the fallout now. But like, I by no means would be surprised to see like the cubs of this rival pride, you know, put to slaughter. And by that I mean Rafa and Aguirre. So you know, I mean, I hope they don't. I'm curious to see like their plan come to fruition, because I'm hopeful for it. But I would not by any means be surprised.
I have a question. Does any of this have to deal or affect or is influenced by the fact that Fox Deportes is broke and they're not paying their bills?
No,
No.
but that is just a beautiful little side story that's happening in Mexico. That is just fucking great, bro. For those not following, like Jaime just said, Fox Deportes Latinoamerica has not been paying their bills lately. They do no longer have broadcasting rights for the NFL in Spanish. Now, broadcasting rights will be going to ESPN, aka the House of Mouse, in Latin America. Now, one of the fun things that happened there that we have to keep in mind, and I don't know if we talked about it here or anything like that, it was a long time ago, is that when the merger happened between Disney and Fox, Fox had to sell certain parts of its you know itself, its international piece, especially the sports side. So Deportes, Fox Deportes was then bought by a third party company. They kept the name, they kept everything, but it was no longer operated by Fox or the House of Mouse. Now, on the other hand,
Just to add to
ESPN,
that, I don't think house I don't think they wanted that, given that they had their own, like they already had ESPN.
exactly,
So
exactly.
like we
They
don't
didn't need it. They
yeah.
had ESPN, right? So now what is happening is a lot of those rights are being consolidated within ESPN Latinoamerica, Disney Latinoamerica. It's going back there. But
Shit.
dude, it is such a shit show. And now they're saying that they're also going to stop showing F1 in Mexico. So if you watch Formula One in Mexico or Latin America in general, you're not going to be able to see it on Fox Sports anymore. You're not going to be able to watch the Premier League. You're also not going to be able to watch. They're starting to say MLB now. That MLB is going to
Wow.
be another one that's
I
going to
was
be
watching
going
the World
away.
Series on Fox Deportes.
And when you
Yeah,
were
bro.
One thing I've
It
noticed about
is
Deportes is
wild.
they have been broadcasting Serie A, so that's one thing they've picked up that's new. Just to add to what they've been broadcasting, I've been watching Serie A on Deportes.
Yeah, Jaime, you were talking about if that had to do with Fox Sports decline. No, in my opinion, it's more to do with the rights for the selección, and so there was a whole big controversy. Was it 4 or 8 years? Could have been 8 when the contract was up for grabs. Yeah, I think it was like
It was like
going
8 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's going to be 8 by the next World Cup, and they were up, and Grupo Pachuca and a couple others were trying to wrestle it away, and that's when Televisa started exposing, like airing their dirty laundry, and had them bend the knee, and supposedly there was this like fine print contract stipulation that Televisa could extend it for 8 years, uh, you know, and that's what they did, and it's about to end, and I think that's part of it. Like they're kicking them while they're down to make sure that they don't get it again, or that the other companies that are that could take that they could take the rights, have a fair chance of doing so, which I believe these other presidents believe it would be a better deal for them. So to me, it has to do with that. And we've been seeing Televisa losing power. I know that Azcárraga is still very influential, still has a lot of control, but he's lost a lot of power throughout the years. Just going really quick of how it was with Max, where at one point Televisa was um, the only television company, so they could pretty much pick and choose what games they wanted to broadcast, and they'll basically just pay the club like, hey, here's some money, like we're gonna for your match. And then Tele Azteca came up, and then they started they started like power struggle right there. Um, and that's you could go back to '93 for that. That's when Televisa actually took control for a little bit. We're going back to Emilio Maurer and all them Menotti. They're the guys that brought Menotti, and then when Televisa takes power, they give Menotti the boot. That's just like damn. Um, and so yeah, this shit's been going on, going back to those years. And I said Lebrija, but I meant Alberto de la Torre. So it's a really good podcast, and he gives a pretty good insight. Like if you want to take a peek behind behind the curtain, and he talked because he was involved in the whole scandal back when they wanted to suspend Mexico again. This was when the two players, which was Chava Carmona and
Aaron Galindo.
Aaron Galindo, yeah, the Hoclen Buterol. And he said that this dude, I believe him, man. I don't think this dude was acting. That dude's still hurt by that. And he said that the dudes that backstabbed him was the Cañedos. The Cañedo was still around, one of them. So, and he de la Torre was not to be confused with the Chivas de la Torres. This Alberto de la Torre, I think he was with Atlas. I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, he was talking about he was getting backstabbed by the own FMF. And he said he was going there and how he was like scared because he didn't want to go down as a president that got Mexico fucked up another World Cup. But he says he like Alvia was saying the whole Game of Thrones. He's detailing it. I think it's a Medrano. Is it Medrano? He does the podcast.
Yeah.
The old dude, yeah, it's a Medrano. If you guys, it's really entertaining, very informative. I recommend you guys if you guys want to hear that and see how some of this shit that goes down. And it's coming from like firsthand account by one of the main dudes.
I gotta ask you guys, while we got our tinfoil hats on and we're following the money and seeing all this go down, how much of America's three-peat is authentic? How much of it has mala leche? Like what's your
all right.
What's your gut say?
Hold on. Before we go into that one, very quickly, let me just close up what depends on the chismes that you follow, right? There's dos historias, two ways that the meeting ended. It was either, and depends on who you listen to. One is that Papi Azcárraga himself was the one who took power over the meeting once La Bomba left and started kind of directing everything and kind of laying shit out and how everything's going to plan out. Now, part of me believes that because, hey, guess who's the fucking new commissioner for now? Mikel Arriola. So, good old bitch boy is back in charge.
We don't know who that is.
No mames, güey. ¿No sabes quién es Mikel Arriola?
I've heard the name, but
you sound muffled there, Joel. But that's the egghead, right?
Yeah, that's the egghead. That's the dude. So Mikel Arriola used to be the guy in charge of Liga MX. El presidente de la liga. El güey que estaba dando las medallas en la final.
Yeah.
Not the first one, but the second guy. He kind of has got a little Rapunzel face, looking like Rumpelstiltskin. Like that way, la pinche naricita.
He looks like Humpty Dumpty.
Damn.
Every single bad one, bro, that's him.
Is he a Televisa guy?
He's a Televisa guy. He, in fact, used to be wasn't if I remember the names correctly, he was also in charge, or at least in FMF during Tata Martino's time. He was sniffing around in there. They ousted him, se fue a la liga, ¿verdad? And now all of a sudden he's back in la federación. So, Mikel ahora es el alto comisionado, cabrones. So, let's follow that fucking line,
Entre
right?
comillas.
Exactamente, porque pues, güey, el jefe fue el que dio el chingazo en la mesa después que se fue el otro pendejo y les dijo, no, pendejos, miren pinches indios, yo les di la tele, yo les di todo, me hacen caso. And that's what happens. Now, the other chisme that is floating around is that in the moment that La Bomba, cuando se le hincharon los huevos and he said, how dare you fucking question my work, right? How dare you question a 5% commission when I am bringing so much more to the fucking table, when you fill and line your pockets with money and with a product that is dying. Because let's not forget, this year we saw the stands fucking empty. And yet these owners questioned a fucking 5% commission, bro. Fuck out of here. Y cuando se levantó and his whole team got up with him, bro, because the report is that they fucking squatted up, right? Like he hits the table, he gets up, his goons get the fuck up too.
Wow.
And everyone's rolling out. And at that point, los dueños go, espérate, güey, espérate, yo, we're sorry. Hold up, what the fuck is happening here? No, we're fucking done. Business is done. They walk the fuck out. So if
That's
you
the version
want to
I heard.
stitch the two together, that's what we're hearing, right? Se le hincharon los huevos, le pegó a la mesa. Fucking everyone draws their guns out and he says, you know what? Fuck it, we're out. He walks out, Papi Escárraga gets up, says a couple words, les enseña a los pinches indios cómo se hace dinero, and now here we are. Mikel Ariola.
Oh shit.
So one thing that I think you forgot to mention, or maybe you didn't mention it because you didn't hear it, but I also heard that he had already known that they were going to strike against him, and so like this was just like like I don't know, for show. Like I'm gonna resign before the hammer comes down on me. So like he had heard a conspiracy where all these different groups outside of Televisa were conspiring to take power from him and Azcárraga. And so he's like, fuck this, I'm out. I was trying to like hook you all up and modernize football here, but you guys obviously don't fucking want that, and so I'm out. And then in the fallout, like I have heard multiple rumors, stating contradicting stuff, but like yeah, like the version that I heard is a lot like the second version that you just stated.
I wonder if there's like a clause, like if he quits and then they can emerge, someone has like the power to emergency name someone, and as opposed to if he gets voted out, then the group can vote a new one in.
I'm no expert on the bylaws, but I think that's kind of what I've been hearing. Just kind of
Because
floating around that if it's like they need to vote to get somebody in.
yeah,
But at the same time, wait, there's no fucking vote. It's just Carrega who always runs the show.
no, not always, dude. He's lost power.
Okay,
There's been
and
other. I mentioned De La Torre. There's been.
hey,
I
y
forget
como
the
mi
guy was.
bebito aquí, Luigi Mangione Jr. nos enseñó, güey, antes que te meta el pinche fierro. Who names everybody? The few people who aren't aligned with Escárraga, what happens? Dirt comes out, they pull the rug from under them, les rompen los huevos en la televisión cada pinche día. Like, wait,
Well, that's
no mames. If
But
you're not
I
in
think we're on the
line,
precipice of
that's
a
what
new.
happens.
I think we're on the precipice of a new era because the Chavo del Ocho money is finally running out.
Yeah.
Televisa, they're not the media conglomerate that they were in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
where they owned all these like newspaper and magazines and all that.
Radio.
They've had some trouble. They're still very successful, but they're not as successful as they used to be.
Now you got
I
the
think
internet, they haven't been able to adapt to that.
they have not.
people
You know,
listen to
I think
radio,
the stars
Spotify.
the stars are aligning, and the other predators in the jungle smell the blood. And you were talking about Fox Deportes and their demise and what they have to do with it. And they're just an example that this environment is survival of the fittest. And they've been bleeding for a long time, and they're on their way out. And this environment is very cutthroat. And like as soon as Televisa and Escaragab weakened, these guys are going to make their move. I think someone else is going to come in, clean house, take over, and we'll see how Escaragab reacts to that.
Yeah, with television, we did have a few years back Grupo Claro. So that's Slim's media company, Claro, Claro Sport, and they've got the Olympic rights, and so Televisa wasn't showing Olympic soccer. I think for the first time in ever. I don't really keep
Televisa wasn't even talking about the Olympics. The Olympics didn't happen in Mexico. It was this wild thing, dude, and the U.S. too, because they don't have U.S. broadcasting rights. Those fall under Universal, aka Telemundo.
My tinfoil hat to that was, and I remember hearing it. I forgot where, but that's why that Olympic Mex team didn't qualify or failed to qualify. That it was sort of like, they weren't going to have the right, so they purposely make the team fail so that Claro wouldn't be showing the national team.
So something that was new during this last qualification for the Olympics that proved like detrimental to Mexico qualifying was that they were one-offs. It was like one and done, and that's where we lost against Guatemala. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this is what I heard. It was so long ago. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, they did do the double. It comes for two tournaments. That's like the 2-in-1 special.
They did, and that was the big thing that fucked us over.
No, but I don't think that one was for the Televisión thing. This one was, I think, was the Brazil Olympics. So it was a few years back. It was one a few years back. It was before that one.
But France too. Like France wasn't aired in Mexico that way. Like it's been long building, and that's why the best way to talk about this is in that Game of Thrones frame, because some of these things, dude, have been cooking for 16 years. Right? And just now are we starting to see the way that things are moving.
So what do you guys think is going to happen?
Well, they're saying that the investment fund is still in the works and things like that. Dude, there's no investment fund. La Bomba was the one who pulled that bitch together. That's why I myself, as somebody in sales, the fact that you pull and will something like that together of that magnitude, and then they question a 5% commission is ridiculous. And for it to fall under that is wild. Now, the big thing is that just shows us where Mexican football still is, right? So therefore, you know what we're going to see? The same thing. We're going to see stadiums empty. We're going to see fans not really connecting with the teams. We're going to see, unfortunately, a small decline in accessibility to the league.
I don't know about that. I think
in accessibility? And how you're able to watch it?
No, at least for watching it on TV, yeah. But as far as like stadiums,
I mean, Cruz Azul packing
the house, the two Monterrey teams packing the house, America.
Wait, Cruz Azul doesn't have a home. Neta, güey, yo no voy a ir a pinche CU.
Oh, wait, they weren't playing in full stadiums?
They were, but they won't be doing it again.
Why
now,
not?
Querétaro, what about Querétaro? Querétaro wasn't playing in full stadiums.
But I'm saying
Puebla wasn't playing in full stadiums.
I know, but I wouldn't be worried of those teams. I'll be like, the only way I'll be worried is the teams I mentioned. couldn't bring people in.
So cuando
And
los
those are the
grandes no
bigger
llenan un
teams.
estadio.
Yes, and the other ones, it's always been, you know, it's always been random, and then when they get the big game, the people then return to the stadium, or if the team's been playing really good. But on average, they're always like at half full. But I think, you know, because there was this whole narrative of the how bad you know, the league has been in decline. And then we're seeing the opposite. You know, as Riv Ref likes to point out every week, you have all these promising upstarts uh, coming out of the pipeline. You
Sí,
have
güey. Pero
wait,
I'm talking about the
let me
money.
finish it. But that's why the money's there, dude. Julio Sanchez was talking about it. You're successful, and the money will follow you. Um, this had America three-peat. To me, that shows uh, how things are being done right. Even Monterrey playing another final. Um, those are good things. And then just Pachuca right now making it to the final of the Intercontinental Cup. And it's like, all right, and you're gonna hard to sell me on this whole is on decline or it's failing. It seems the opposite. It seems like it's doing pretty well.
I
Obviously,
100% agree.
they could be better. Yeah, obviously they could do better. There's a lot of things they could do better, but
This
the
was
results are
this
speaking
was
for
a very
themselves.
entertaining Liguilla. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
It was.
Obviously,
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, and
You know what?
just
It
to
was
answer your
wide open.
question,
And,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
All right, hold on.
yeah,
My words were in accessibility.
no,
Señor,
for the TV.
accessibility. So, dime, güey, si no hablas español, ¿cómo putas viste la liguilla?
Yeah, but now,
Espérate,
but
güey,
I'm thinking in
espérate, because
Mexico.
not everybody lives in fucking little Mexico like you do, or in the Bay Area, or where a lot of people like
Little
us do,
Mexico.
where you don't have access to fucking Univision being pumped over the airways. So therefore, how am I watching this game?
Well,
No
people watch.
puedo.
You know what they watch? They like I said, because I work with kids. I was talking to this Mexican kid. He's from Sinaloa. He watches his games on Instagram.
Yeah,
So,
TikTok,
so,
Instagram.
so there's people that just fucking live stream the fucking match.
Where there's a will,
And
there's a way, my friends.
yeah,
Sí,
yeah.
güey, pero
No,
yo que soy ruco, ¿cómo chingados voy a estar en Instagram? Uso Instagram para ver las nalgonas y eso es todo.
Oh my God.
Futures now. Welcome to the old man club. No, just to answer Jaime, your question really quick. Now I'll pass it on to Ricardo. I know he has something to say, but you were talking about if Televisa played a role in the whole getting America to three-peat. Now I would say no. I think they beat the best teams, and I don't think these were teams that would you know take the fall for him. I don't think Toluca would take the L just so these guys could three-peat, and much less Cruz Azul would do it. And so I don't think there was any of that.
Really?
Oh, so just to go back on my point, so first of all, I just want to say the three-peat was misleading, right? At the beginning of this Liguilla, we had ideas of who might win it, and those people, it was nothing like that. You know, it was a team for the first time that was in the repechaje that went on to win it, and that was Club America, obviously. And then we had Cholos come in from out of nowhere, right? And then you had like the top leaders like Toluca just collapsed. I mean, the second to top leaders, Toluca, who were just playing fantastic during the regular season, right? So like, this is like in my recent memory, this is like the best like a tournament in years, right? So like, I think we're on the up, and then like there's more jóvenes, the game is faster, there's a lot of goals, there's some like real interesting foreign buys, like all these people, all these things are helping create like a better product, and I think I think it's only going to go up from here, bar something disastrous. But like, yes, it could be better if we had like some unifying contract, like La Bomba was heading towards, right? But I by no means think like that we're like in the trash bin or in the red. There's a lot of profit to be made. Mexico's on the up, like we stated. So yeah, like I think it could be better. It should be better, but I by no means think that like this league is done and it's like we're antiquated or anything like that.
What's the biggest criticism the Mexican league gets, right? It's very inconsistent that every 6 months somebody new is hoisting the trophy. Well, this has been the most consistent run of form as a league, right? Because you've had the same champion for a year and a half, and that doesn't happen. So, I hate that America won. I hate that Rayados waited like 10 minutes before the game ended to actually try to win this series. But, they deserve the three in a row. And, that's just where we're at right now in Liga MX.
Senor, really quickly, I just want to say that we have had consistency in Liga MX for the past 2.5 years. Because let's not forget, before the América Bicampeonato, we had, tuvimos a Tigres, pero antes de eso, güey, tuvimos a Atlas. Otro bicampeón. It was Atlas bicampeón, Tigres, then América. So lately, on what you've been seeing is the fact that the short season format, they're finding a way around it, right? Now, one of the things that I do want to mention, and like everybody said, great points. We've had a lot of youth, we've had a lot of good things, we've had a lot of positivity to look back upon from this year, but unfortunately, I do not share the same sentiment as Rifado. While on the sporting side, we might be taking strides to the good side on the business, I feel and I firmly believe that we took a massive step backwards in maybe not just adopting the Apollo deal, but losing La Bomba on that business acumen and those type of moves that were going to come. We lost that because he wasn't coming in to do sporting calls. He wasn't making sporting decisions. He was making business decisions.
Yeah, but we don't know what the result is of that. Like we don't know how this is. It's still playing out. I would wait till we see what direction the FMF takes and Liga MX takes.
Wait, I know
for now.
Mexico. All right, when given the chance to do things differently, they choose not to.
But I think they want to because if Bomba had that on the deal, and there's Televisa's guy, that's Televisa's deal. That's not just Bomba. That's also Televisa's deal. Like they gave the thumbs up for that. If the guys that rejected that, I'm sure they have something similar because they've been pushing for a more unified type thing. So I do think eventually there will be like a unified contract, just because it'll get to the point, like you said, no one's really making money because there's like 50 different channels showing all the different games. And like you said, no one's going to be keeping track of or buying up all those packages just to watch a season of their club.
I think what this shows us, what this is indicative of, is that a lot of these players, a lot of these caballeros, will not willingly relinquish power or relinquish or give up give any ground to the possibility of in the future giving up their power. And like any cornered beast, like any corporation, they're gonna fight till the death so that they can be the one at the wheel. And so that seems to be the issue, and it has been the issue for many years in Mexican soccer. And like La Bomba was never going to resolve that. I don't even know if that's possible. Like, what deal would be sweet enough to make them relinquish that sort of autonomy that they have and have had?
Espérame, Joel. Puta madre, güey. I couldn't have said it better, right? Like myself, like I was saying, like that's literally it. That is. No, güey, sí fui, pero no estudié comunicación, ¿verdad?
No estudiabas, güey.
Güey, neta, cuando me preguntaban qué era lo que hacía, güey, estoy aquí para tomar y cogerme a gringas. ¿Qué es lo que quieren?
Ay, güey.
Es para lo que estoy aquí. Pero bueno, mira, no vamos a hablar de los frat boy days ni nada de eso. Pero cuando tú dijiste, güey, talking about a cornered animal, and I want to use that to get back to the point. The cornered animal this whole year was America, right? And speaking about the crown, I hate que los otros putos no estén aquí, güey. Porque neta, que los pinches americanistas no estén, güey, me rompe un puto huevo porque tengo que ser el que está aquí hablando bien de los pinches huilas. Y neta, güey, eso, como dijo el señor de los Pumas, güey, eso sí me lastima, güey. ¿Verdad? Si tuviera a mi hijo aquí, dijera, mi hijo, dilo. Seu, Pumas. Pero bueno, güey, vamos a hablar de fútbol. La corona del pinche América se tiene que respetar. You have to respect it. You can't really put too much shit on that crown. They went and they beat every single fucking team that they had to. They went into Tijuana and they won on turf, something that nobody else had done. They went and they beat the beast that they had to. Luego se fueron y le partieron la madre al Toluca también, güey. The team that had just beat on 4-0. And then they came to Cruz Azul and they beat us. What was the total? 4-3, right? That's how it ended in el global. 4-3, ¿verdad? El mismo equipo que les había ganado, ¿qué fue? 3-0 durante la temporada regular. Luego se fueron y le partieron la madre al Monterrey. Lo más importante, güey, never during the whole fucking time did they have the advantage of league, of table positioning, right? Of moving forward because of where they placed during the regular season. They were always forced to go in and kill. And that's what they did. They did what they had to. And they fucking did it. There's a reason, and I've said it before. There's a reason why El America, when they believe that they are who they are, they become that. They start sniffing their own farts, and they believe in that fucking sauce. Y luego, güey, pues, if you've ever watched Prison Stories, like when they start doing that shit, you get a little bit high and you fucking start rocking it out, right? So I guess that's what they're doing. Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention is, and I've said it before, it's the fact that not once did we hear anything about campeonitis when it came to America, right? We didn't even hear that term, campeonitis. It was just like, oh, they're doing shit, they're doing shit, they're doing shit. But if you talk to Americanistas, they always will tell you, es la pretemporada, güey. La temporada buena es la liguilla. Todo esto es pretemporada. Nothing fucking matters. And guess what? El pinche profe, the man of the fucking match, Jardiné, figured it out. Just like fucking León did it in the past when they were playing Libertadores, where everyone's like, oh, el León que tiene campeonitis, ¿verdad? Y todo esto. No, güey. Me estoy enfocando en algo más. Cuando lleguemos a la liguilla, echo toda la carne al asador y te parto la madre. And that's what Jardine did. In liguilla, they were a completely different team.
Yeah, the giant has awakened, and I think they didn't expect to get to like the big dance. The season wasn't going their way, but they stayed resilient, and I think slowly throughout the matches they started to believe in themselves. But I think it's crazy the fact that a team from the play-in was able to win the championship. That's crazy.
It's not like repechaca teams. Chivas won it as a repechaca team when they beat Toluca.
Oh, I know.
So it's kind of the same, no?
We just hadn't seen that in a while, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
We had it, and it's one of those things where we've said it, right? Repechaje gives you a certain form of an unfair advantage, right? Because the teams that have been hot this time around, they had to sit for 20 some days and wait. While you have America, who's fine tuning, getting in form, picking up momentum, and when they get in here, Es la pinche gordiguapa que te está metiendo 2 dedos por el culo, güey. No es nomás uno. Te están metiendo 2. Ya sé, güey, pero do you know what's the scariest part? Que te gusta. It's like, güey, ¿qué está pasando? ¿Por qué me gusta? ¿Por qué me gusta lo que estoy viendo? Like, ¿qué pedo? Like, and is what happened. Now, something that I want to mention about the play-in, right? If you've been listening and you kind of, you know, expand your mind, right? If we want to say it
Expand
that
your mind.
way, is there's been this conversation of why did we do the play-in, right? Why did we do el repechaje? Why did we do all of these things? At first, it was because COVID, right? The clubs had to stop, so we had to make up the revenue for the clubs. Okay, cool. We've had this for X amount of years. Clubs have made the revenue. Okay, now why do we still have play in? Why do we go to this format? Why are we keeping it around? Oh, well, it's because of broadcasting rights, right? During COVID, when the leagues stopped, when everything stopped, our broadcasting contracts stated that we had to air X amount of games. So we're having to make up games. That's why we're having to put in extra games into the season in the form of the play-in. Okay, cool. Well, those games will be paid up by the end of Apertura. So by the end of this tournament, so what that means is that in Clausura next year, we shouldn't be seeing any more of these play-in. The question is, are they going to keep it? Is it something sporting that like benefits sport for us to keep?
I don't think it benefits the sport too much. More so, it benefits the pockets of the teams, of the execs. Like more games equals more money. You know, so like, why did it stay? Because it made them more money than before, and so like that's why I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. But just to like stop with the America glaze, I feel like the three-peat is like I said earlier, it's misleading in the sense that like for this final, I think they had like 30% ball possession, 6 shots to like 20. Monterrey had 20 and they had the majority of possession. They didn't do anything with it, granted, but like a lot of these games, like they had to come back and win by the skin of their teeth. They had to like, like it was like so close. It was a toss up. That Aguirre goal late on, or that penalty, I mean, late on against Cruz Azul, barely seeing them through. Them coming back and defeating Cholos, that was like, like very close as well. Cholos like leading the game from the first bout. And then, Toluca, they did steamroll those guys, and credit must be given for their whole effort, the whole campaign. What a comeback. But like, I by no means think that they've been as dominant as 3 campeonatos may perceive them as being, because I just don't think they played that well, and then they won by some luck and grit and good tactics too.
Yeah. So where does this put them? They 16 titles right now. I'm losing count.
16 as of right now, and if si eres puto como Richie, 18.
Yeah. Well, all I know is that this is the darkest timeline for Chivas. Watching not just America win 3 in a row, but also Atlas winning 2. Right? They won 2 during this 7-year dry run that we're having, and some of the things that we're doing in the offseason just have me scratching my head. Chiquete being sold for $11 million, although Chivas have not received payment from Cruz Azul, so this deal might fall through. And I don't know if they were banking on that money to sign Luis Chavez and Orbelin Pineda, but those are the 2 players that have been associated or rumored with Chivas in this offseason. We've already announced 1 player coming in. Never heard of him. I know that he was part of Pachuca's academy, then he went to the MLS. But this is just the worst timeline for Chivas fans, and honestly, I don't see the light. I think our ownership is really bad, and it's the thing that needs to go.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But I don't see him selling. I don't see. I haven't heard of anything of him. Like giving up the reins for someone else to give it a go. So we're stuck with Almaty and his cheapskates. But like as far as like rebuilding the squad, I've also heard the same thing. Chiquete, it's not been finalized, but it's so many sources stating that it's all but done. So I've basically counted him as already sold, even though if there may be some technicalities. But like I am excited about the possibilities of Chavez as well as Orbelin coming into the fold. I think the midfield needs like that creative factor. I would prefer a six as opposed to any one of these two. But we do need some creative help, and this might also herald the departure of certain names like Pocho, which I think is unlikely because I think he's got some serious injury that was just announced. But like maybe Nene as well or Guti, because they're most definitely going to balance the books with these two signings if they do happen because they are on high wages, and I don't see Chivas supporting crazy wages all across the book. I mean, all across the board. So I'm interesting to see, but it's all up in the air. None of it is concrete just yet, with the exception of that MLS guy that they signed.
Yeah, I've been very like hesitant and about like the whole Chiquete thing. Like I keep hearing the rumor and everyone keeps saying that it's official, it's done, it's done, it's done. I'm like, until like the either team tweets it out, like I don't believe shit, you know? And this deal falling through for whatever reason, it could all just be rumors. None of it could be true, you know? I'm always skeptical about that stuff. Now, Pocho, that's a new one. I know that they announced it today that he got injured in training. Chivas are in Zacatecas for their preseason. They're going to play against Mineros. And then they're going to go back to Guadalajara and have some other matches in El Jalisco. So that's like their preseason. But it's funny that they're out here trying to negotiate Orbelin Pineda, a player that we've had before. Luis Chavez, who was willing to give up everything, go to Russia. Why would he come back? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, he sacrificed so much.
He did his Euro dream, man. I think
he got his nut off, is what you're saying? He banged a bunch of Rusas, and he's like, all right, I got that out of my system, ready to come back home.
And who knows, he might have gotten a sweet payout, and he did his part. And I mean, Chivas, why not Chivas? I think I have more faith than you, Jaime. I don't think Chivas is as bad as the media makes him out to be. It's just these other teams, they're outspending Chivas. Chivas obviously doesn't have that type of money. No one really does. Not even Televisa has the money that Femex or Cemex have. Which to me, I think they've been kind to not. They could easily spend twice as much as they do, and build these even stronger clubs. But Cruz Azul, they're already rebuilding, and so it's hard to match teams like that. Because it's only life. You don't really hear about them, and it's just it's weight loss. It's a weight loss product. So that to me has been detrimental, I think, but I think they've been doing a pretty good job because when Vergara passed away, and a bit before that when he was sick, Higuera and his wife were just having a feast, man. They were just eating that carcass, man, and a big reason we kept hearing about different people buying Chivas, and it was her trying to shop the team around. And it was always the stadium that would keep any business from going, because it's like, we would take the team, but we don't need that toilet bowl. But I think they've done a good job. The team did reach a semifinals and a final recently, I think those two players being brought in, I think they're really good. Just another striker would be nice since Cheech he was pretty much a bag of dicks, man. He was just it was yeah he's he just proved a waste of money. But if they could bring in a pretty good striker, um, I think this team could have a shot because, as Rifaldo was explaining it, you don't have to be the most dominant. Once you get into that playoffs, it's a different game, and you could win. It's
They need some
it's
fucking leadership,
goes up for grabs.
like Henry Martin. I think
Yeah, that what he was saying.
they all released the audio and video of what he said in the locker room, and it's like, you need that kind of leadership. I mean, we literally saw the opposite of that with Chicharo having his
Yeah,
speech,
man.
and so there's
From the
referees.
school of Dreyfus.
I'm like, come on, bro, like that's not the kind of fucking shit you want to hear from your quote unquote like legend. And Henry Martin had a better, better mindset, better attitude, and he even called out Chicote. It's like, you're the most hated player on the planet. Like, I'm like, God damn, bro, you didn't hold back any punches.
I thought they were joking with that because there's a pretty funny meme going around
Yeah.
of Henry pointing at Chicote and saying this dumb dude. Just they added a bunch of different things. I didn't know it was from that speech, but yeah, you're right. I don't think Cheech is the leader that Chivas needs. Hopefully, Jorge Luis Normontes, one of those, can fill that role. But I'm a bit more hopeful, Jaime. I think if they could land those players, and like you said, try to get one of the Tigres guys that's on a fire sale. Those would be some good reversals to have.
I think this is all like pending the Chiquete transfer, because if they don't, if that deal falls through, then
Yeah,
they're not gonna have the money to buy other players. Because I mean, you've seen Chivas, bro. They always have to
Yeah.
trade
No,
players
you're right.
away or have to sell players.
So your broke ass needs those 11 mil you were complaining about earlier?
I'm just saying, like, none of this goes through if we don't get that sale done.
I wouldn't
know
say
what's the
none of it
beauty
goes
of it?
through. It's only 11 mil. It's only 11 mil, and Chivas has other wells to draw from, like the Amazon money, like trades, and like other revenue generated.
Knowing Amaury though, he's probably already in the red. He's probably using
That's
that.
what I'm saying. They don't. Exactly.
He's using that money to pay off debts. Honestly,
So those 11 mil could probably finance one buy, the Orbelin one, or the Luis Chavez one. But I wouldn't say like if that falls through, then they can't buy anyone because they have other, like I said, other wells to draw from. But if Chiquete stays, that in itself is an asset. That in itself, makes us more competitive because he is by head and shoulders better than any defender we have. Granted, we do have a lot of good prospects that I'm very hopeful for, and I'm also in the same boat as Joel. I'm hopeful for this team. I think we're just 3-4 players away from being a competitive, deep run team.
I guess here's my question for you guys: is your cantera strong enough? Because that's the plan, right? The plan is la cantera, Tapatío, el campeón del ascenso.
I mean, just look at the names. Let's look at Hormiga. Let's look at Rey Mejia. Let's look at Chiquete.
Wilke.
Let's look at what's it called, Castillo. Let's look at El Piloncillo, Chavez. All these kids are from our cantera. So like we've peppered them with like buys like Cade Cowell, right, and other players. But our cantera has produced a lot of joyas, a lot of diamonds in the rough. So I do think our cantera is one of the best. And we also won the second, or the Liga de Expansión this last tournament, or Tapatío did, I mean. And so like for sure, it's probably one of the best in Mexico right now.
I just don't agree with like addition by subtraction. Like, it's always, yeah, we're gonna go out and sign players, but it requires us having to get rid of some players that we shouldn't be trading. Like Piojo Alvarado shouldn't be traded. Like Cade Cowell shouldn't be touched. I know a lot of people hate on Nene. I think Nene is a great midfielder. I wouldn't want him to leave. However, there is players like Pollo Briseño that supposedly are leaving to Toluca, and that would be incredible. It's time for him to go. But want to give the floor to Soccer Chronicle, aka Ron, aka Three-peat champion. Congratulations on your victory. The floor is yours, my friends.
Thank you, Jaime. I really appreciate you. You were the only one that congratulated me. For the rest of the guys in the chat, they avoided me like the plague. I wonder why.
How does it feel? 3 in a row. Have you ever seen that in your lifetime?
Yes. I mean, I vaguely remember the three-peat in the '80s. That was around the time I started to get into sports. So I mean, I do remember vaguely like the '86 World Cup and the leading up to the World Cup. But no, I mean, it's not like I remember all the players or anything like that. I mean, I remember them now because I've seen like I've rewatched those games and stuff. But I think it's impressive what they're doing. I don't remember which pundit said it, but it's some took it as an insult. I didn't, but he's talking about that America it doesn't have it's not a great team. It's just a team that knows how to win. I'm fine by that. Because I mean, I'd have to be honest with them. I mean, I've seen America have better players and a better squad, but if you don't know how to win, it's like,
It's true.
what's the point? And I think they just have a good balance of everything. I think they have a balance of players that are from within. They have some good, foreign players. They have some good veterans. And I think more than anything, I think the guys, I think they know their place. I mean, that's one of the things that, Baños and a lot of the players are talking about is that, people have put their egos in check and, put the interest of the club and the team ahead of their own. And like, for example, like, when I was watching like the interviews, like Jonah was talking about, he knew that he didn't have the best season this season, like, because like the other two, they were, phenomenal seasons, but he's like, hey man, I'm just getting older. And, he was giving, he's giving, and that's one of the things that I really like about the team, because I saw it in two interviews. The older guys were basically just covering and trying to basically teach the younger guys how to be how to become a professional. And I just thought that was impressive. But yeah, I was really pleased with how they played. I thought again that the key here is balance. I think Jardina did a great job. I think he did a phenomenal job as to when they needed to basically just weather the storm. One of the things that I always remember, El Ruso Brailovsky, he would always talk about, yep, I'm going to concede possession, but I'm going to basically dictate how you attack, where you come, where and how you're going to attack. And I think Jardina did a master class there.
Yeah, I forgot where I heard where it was like, hey, like some of the people here were rejects from other clubs. Like no club wanted them, and they end up here, and they end up winning a couple of championships. I know,
it was Henry. It was Henry himself said
Henry,
it.
Yep.
Chicote. I know Chicote. He left on a free transfer. Alan Cervantes, I think, as well. There's a lot of players there that.
Jonas Dos Santos.
Yeah.
They thought he was washed. They thought he was washed up.
Now, something really quickly, and I did hear it mentioned elsewhere. It's the fact that while Monterrey had, one of the most expensive squads on paper, had a depth in, like, not so much the bench, but the quality of players that they were facing, like individualism, Monterrey had them beat on that. Pero America was a team that played together. They had the depth in the bench where the Rayados doesn't really have that option. And like you said, Jardinel was able to have these players check their egos and think about the team first before themselves. And dude, if that's not a fucking recipe for success, then I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Did Did anybody catch the exchange between Martinoli, Sage, Luis Garcia, and it's funny because it's an argument that we had here because you guys were trying to say that Ame was in a crisis back 4 or 5 months back, and Sage was going back and forth with those guys. I said no. There's a difference between a crisis and they were saying un mal momento, right? And that's what it was because and I think about that because when you start having the success that America has had, there's some unintended consequences, and I said that before that it's happened to many clubs like America, Toluca, and stuff like that. When they start winning, obviously the players get start getting injured a lot more because they're playing more games, they're playing more international games with their national teams and stuff like that. And I'm kind of glad that Baños he gave an interview today saying that basically he wants the team to have a proper preseason. So he's going to let the young, he's going to let the under 23 team basically play the first two league matches because he wants the senior team to basically have a proper preseason, and I'm all for that. I think that serves two purposes. It allows the first team players to have a proper season, with the medical staff and the coaching staff and the managers, and it allows the younger players some playing time because eventually, some of the players in America are getting old, like Jonas Dos Santos and stuff like that. So we need fresh blood, and I think there's going to be a good mix between the vets and the young players.
So I 100% agree with that second point you made. Like, good for you guys playing the Jovenazos. Oh yeah, but as far as like the semantics of like we're not in a crisis, this is just a bad moment. Like at a certain point, there is like so many crises that it becomes a crisis. Like being down against Cholos, like having to win it late against Cruz Azul, against the possibility of not making Liguilla, which they were seriously facing. Like that was a real possibility. It was like get yourself up by the bootstraps now or miss out on Liguilla completely. So there was a series of events that were that would culminate a crisis, I would say. And the great thing for the Huilas is that they were able to overcome this adversity, and they did so with flying colors, and kudos to them. But was there a crisis? I think so.
You know why I don't agree with that is because people were saying, oh my God, at one point they were 13th in the league. I get that, the math doesn't lie, but the math also doesn't lie when you see that the 13th best team or the 13th place team and the 6th team, they're like maybe 4 or 5 points, difference. So that's why I never bought that. And one of the things that has always bothered me is that people want to basically tag the word crisis. And I think that when you have, especially the front office, believe that shit, they make poor decisions. And I've seen that happen with America. Like, they'll have, like, for example, Carrillo. I thought he did a wonderful with the team back in 2005, 2006. Won the championship. They were fucking playing phenomenal in Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana. And then they fucking, they shit the bed in the quarterfinals, if I'm not mistaken, I think against Tigres or Santos, one of those two. So it's like, boom. It's like they want to basically just, clean house and start over. And I've just been tired of that. I mean, that's something that, Liga MX teams have done for a long time, is where you have certain interests in the media wanting to start these controversies of that X team or whatever is in a crisis. And I guess many of the front office execs start believing that shit, and they start making really stupid decisions. So it's like I just don't agree with that. It's like, no, yeah, I get it. They're 14th or 13th, place team. A lot of their players are injured. We'll weather the storm. And I'm just go ahead.
I was saying I agree with you 100% because I pointed that out as well. I think about like America's on 13th, but they're only like 2 games, just like 6 points. from like sixth place, right? And that to me is not really crisis. And but what you pointed out how some of the directivos go along with those narratives, and they end up making a lot of stupid mistakes. And that Mike was like Vergara. He
Oh
kept
yeah, I mean,
he kept
I mean, I remember guys like Perez Teufel or even what's his name, the guy Michel Bauer, those presidents. I didn't mind Perez Teufel that much, but for example, Bauer, I thought he was an idiot. I thought that the guy would basically any criticism from the press or whatever, and that's one of the
yeah
things that that they have to understand is the fans, they're fickle. They don't really know the
yeah
ins and outs. They don't see what's going on a daily basis. They do. So they should have they should have the cojones and say no. I know what we're doing is going to start.
yes
I know that it's going to start paying dividends soon. And I
yeah
think that I think that's one of the reasons why Peláez and now Baños were successful with America, because they've been
yeah
able to basically just kind of like accept the constructive criticism, but just disregard the just the mean and the vile shit that a
yeah
lot of the press have to say. And I think that that's probably that's one of the reasons why I think they've been successful.
yeah. And you know that was interesting. It is very interesting because that was when Pelaez came to Chivas, and that was my whole thing with a lot of Hermanos who were saying that he wasn't doing a good job. And it's like, well, the team's finishing between eighth and ninth. I'm like, but they're like 6 points from cracking top five. And I'm like, for a team with all the Chivas problems and lacking all these key players, I mean, that to me is showing that you're in the right place, especially when you take into account before Pelaez arrived, you were like, you missed Liguilla you know, 4 straight tournaments in a row. And yeah, that's the thing I think a lot of fans disregard a lot of times, just how close this league is. I'll say how competitive, and it's you usually see a team run away with it, where they're like, you know, X amount of points. It's already have it in the bag.
Well, we in short season have never seen a team win three in a row. What does the horizon look like for America? Are they going to get stronger? And are they favorites to win four in a row? Can they do it?
I think they can.
I don't
Noah?
think so. I think they're gonna lose people like Renato. I think we're gonna see some other departures, and they're gonna begin a rebuilding process. I think they're gonna be competitive. They're always gonna be competitive, and in the Liguilla format, anything is possible. But I do feel like we're gonna see some changes. Jonah's not gonna get any better. You're gonna see some other exits because while Jardine has been managing his locker room almost impeccably, with like benching certain players and and giving youngsters a shot as opposed to more established players at other times. I do feel like there's too many cooks in that kitchen, so to speak, and we are going to see some dismantling of the squad. The fact of the matter is the best player for Liguilla, for America, Renato Sanchez, was like nowhere to be seen for the majority of the season. He was benched, and then his redemption arc started late in the tournament of the Liguilla. So like I think you have people that have like equity and are going to look to ply their trade elsewhere.
See,
What about
and
Jardinet himself? He must be a
see,
hot commodity.
and that's the thing. So here's where I come in on it, right? And Rifalo, you made some great points, but the thing is, bro, Jardine, the man himself, right? As long as he stays at America, I think he fucking cracked the code on liguillas, right? Which is todo lo demás es pretemporada. Worry about getting to liguilla. He's managing the team well. If he's able to stay in form and they're able to retain him, which I think they will, because where's he gonna go? The Brazilian national team? Like that's kind of the next step up. Otherwise, hey, stay here.
You don't think he get
do
offered in
shit
Europe?
right. But if he stays there and he does things right, you don't think he's gonna get la selección?
You really think Brazil is looking at him for the selección?
Who the fuck said Brazil? Come on, bro. We're beaners. We look very
Oh,
low.
you talking about Mexico?
Yeah.
Why would
Wait, you're
he coach the
sucking
Mexican
at the
national
tits.
team?
Because it's a national team job. Why do RGs jump at the
No,
opportunity?
because he's not doing this with Mexicans. He's doing this with foreigners. He can't do this with the national team.
Yo, it's a shot for a job where, hey, you're rocking at them. Everyone has said it, way. Being an America coach is kind of a prerequisite, if not just scratch the kind of. It's a prerequisite to be el selección de la selección.
Look, we already made that mistake once with, using Coca. Like, hey, you won, a big campeonato with, a team that hadn't won since 1951. And that didn't work out. And I do.
Yo, I'm not saying that the campeonato gives them that. I'm saying stay here. You win cuatro, perfecto, way. Síguele, and you might get it.
I will say
the
public.
You mean 4 won't earn it? 2 years of consistency.
The only thing I will say is the public would be a lot more receptive to him taking the throne of the national team because he did it at America, and I think a lot of fans would love to see him for the national team. But I just don't see it, especially with Rafa Marquez being announced as the next coach.
2030, he's gonna have to wait in that seat for a while. I could see like probably.
Senor, we just talked about how rocky that boat is.
You really think they would they would fucking do that to Rafa Marquez? I don't think they would do that to Rafa Marquez, bro.
Senor, did you see what they did to Ned Stark?
I don't know who the fuck that is,
they
bro.
did to Hugo Sanchez, so.
Ahí estás, güey.
And Hugo Sanchez was coming also bicampeón, right? He was bicampeón with Pumas. He was coming off of a lot of success, the Res Herrera Cup and whatnot.
It would have to be like an embarrassing World Cup or some kind of scandal for them to drop the axe. I mean, Aguirre's done, right? After 2026, he's done. But to drop the axe on both of them and the project, it would have to take a lot to happen for them to basically give up on that project.
No, but they're not going to do that.
Hey, you have to remember that Tio Richie and Tio John Azcárraga, they're cooking deals on the side.
Yeah.
Another thing, as an America fan, why would you give up your best asset? Like, that doesn't make sense either.
Well, they've done it before. They did it with La Puente, right? Was he there?
Wait, because they're fart sniffers. Because tell me que decir, no, güey, nosotros le dimos nuestro técnico a la selección, no los hace más grandes. No los hace más inmamables.
Yeah,
no mames, güey. Like, it's the esencia del América. Like, they would fucking love it. They don't see it as giving up their best asset. They see it as their due taking a promotion. Like, okay, güey, el América ya es muy chico para ti, te tienes que ir allá.
So yeah, he's right in the sense that, but like we also have to think that Azcárraga is in charge of the FMF of the national team, and he's in charge of America. He's gonna what's the word? He's gonna something with bonds, diversify your bonds, right? He's like I'm gonna put some from this winning basket onto this winning basket, and then win more glory, win more money, win more power, right? And so like. That's a reason why he would do that. But like Jardine, the sky's the limit for him. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he was in contention for the Brazilian national team in the somewhat future. He's like one job away from that. He goes to Europe, finds success there, plays good, makes a deep run in maybe the Europa League, the Conference League, the Copa del Rey, or whatever, in some whatever team, or he goes back to Brazil and he wins the Libertadores. Like he's one stone throw away from like the Brazilian national team, right, and he's already gotten gold.
I'm gonna sound really arrogant right now, but after what he's done in America, in Mexico, I don't think there's any club in Brazil that is as prestigious. What club would he get an offer from in Brazil that'd be like, oh, this is a step up from America?
Flamingo, Sao
Botafogo.
Paulo.
Santos? You think
Flamengo,
Santos?
Flamengo, Fluminense are pretty big teams. But
Gremio
it's not
too.
just
Those are the big Rio
prestigious.
teams.
It's being in Libertadores.
Hold on,
And how
Santos.
that-
Didn't Santos get relegated?
Yeah, but they're going to be in the Serie A again.
Probably, but I think just the Libertadores will be because that's a vitrina, and that's also for like Europe. That could be his calling card. If he has a good Libertadores or wins it, then he could trampoline.
I don't know. I think
into Europe.
Mexico's won his heart over, and he's gonna be one of those coaches that like
He stays.
he stays
Stays-
and becomes
stays
one of
like
us,
that.
dude. I honestly think he's
No,
getting
no,
more love and
no.
praise here than he is in his own country.
So
I think it's a real
so you're
possibility
saying
because the money. The money.
So you're
is good here.
saying that I'm right, so that he
What I'm-
stays there and sucks on the tit of Escarrega, he will get la selección.
so what I'm hearing is that he'll eventually end up at Chivas.
Ay, no mames, way.
What? Leo Ben Hacker didn't do that? La Volpe?
Well-
There's been a lot, dude. So it's not, you know. Yeah, even Piojo started talking about,
No
I'll coach
mames.
Chivas.
Hey.
No, that's what I'm saying, Jardine.
I mean, Jardine, I mean, I think he stays in Mexico. I mean, just imagine in Puebla, and then you see this huge banner, the Scratch du Cuapa, you know? That's what they're equating to him, you know? I think he stays in,
No, yeah.
I think he's gonna be another Tuca. Just he's gonna stay in Mexico.
Yeah, I think if he leaves, it would have to be like a really something lucrative. I don't think he'll just go where they could sack him in 3 months, you know?
I
It
honestly
would have to
hope
be something lucrative for him where
he stays in Liga MX for like he's just a lifer there, or he stays at America for a long time. You just want to see some kind of consistency. I'm so tired of seeing the coaching carousel in Liga MX and projects getting terminated pretty quickly, prematurely. So I think he's one of those coaches that I hope stays at America for a long time because we need that.
Yeah, but also for what? For the players that are going to become coaches that are playing and with them and learning from how they do those things. Because you see it a lot of times with some of the coaches talking about who they work with and what they learned from those coaches. So it's good to have that type of quality coach because a lot of people benefit from their knowledge.
For sure.
Oily.
Yes.
So who we've always said that, the Liga MX has always been a fairly competitive league because it's not like, you go to like, Spain or Scotland where it's one or two teams that basically have like 90% of the titles and the rest are just, scattered around. So now that basically America's made up, it's starting to get ahead, like what I think right now by four or five leagues.
Yeah.
So who
I think it's 4.
who do you think has a chance to catch them?
It's a great discussion that you bring up, Ron. I've been really reflecting on this moment, this historic moment in Liga MX, and it's hard to swallow as a Chivas fan because honestly, we're quickly. I mean, and this has been happening for a long time, but I think now this has cemented our like position in Liga MX. We are no longer like a grande. We have nothing to say right now. We have we're the biggest club in Mexico, or we play with only Mexicans. Like that is a time as old as a tale as old as time. And I think Chivas are gonna get left out in the dust, man. I think teams are gonna catch up to them before we try to get back on the horse and catch up to America. I honestly think somebody else is going to step up, and Chivas will become that club in Mexico that's like, oh, it's cool to root for Chivas. They were like the old school, champion. It's like vintage club, It's like Atletico Bilbao in La Liga, right? They won all their titles very early, and they were considered a big team back in the day, but they haven't won one in a very long time.
I think it's gonna be a while for anyone to catch up uh, to America. I think the what's I gonna say? It's brought in like the amount of teams that are competing now. Like you have Cruz Azul, Monterrey, Tigres. I think all of these, and then you have like the Pachucas and the Santos. Although I think Santos has fallen. I think since Orlegi moved to Atlas, but I could see, and I don't even know how much investment they're putting in Atlas since they went to Europe. Grupo Orlegi is they seem to have too many eggs in too many baskets. Because if they had put them all in Atlas, I would see Atlas as being more consistent. Um, but I could see eventually the Monterrey teams
I don't think so.
trading.
Monterrey has 5, right? And they've lost 7. I don't see them catapulting
Hey,
themselves to 12 anytime soon.
What they think? What was Chivas called before Campeonísimo?
I don't know.
El Llamerito. They kept like being very close. They eventually started winning. But if you see like in the last like 10 years, Tigres Monterrey that have been the two teams other than like Cruz Azul America, then I would say than the traditional grandes consistently like fighting for the championship. And again, the big companies that sponsor them, they signed in for the next 30 years. So they're financially they're set for the next 30 years.
Yeah, I would say based on trajectory and the last decade or two, I would say Tigres and Pachuca are on trajectory to, get to at least 10 titles in the next, 10 years, probably more actually. Cruz Azul, I mean, aside from winning the one in 2021, they've been fucking on a dry spell for quite some time. Sure, they've been consistent.
Yeah, but they just make.
But they haven't been able to get the job done. And Toluca, who's been chilling at 10 and could easily surpass Chivas anytime soon, they haven't been relevant since 2010. That's their last title. So, and you have like Pumas, right? Considered like a big, a grande. They haven't done shit either. So right now it's up for grabs, man. Anybody can really surpass Chivas if they.
That's been a problem. That's been a problem with when the team basically, when there's like a star player like a Cardoso or I think that Tigres is going to basically have a serious wake up when Gignac is gone. Because
no, I don't think so.
I mean, he's like half retired already. He's pretty old now.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The Monterrey teams, prior to the recent success of the last 15 plus years, they weren't a team. These guys were usually, choke artists. They didn't really invest a lot in the youth and stuff like that. So it's not like they were pumping and producing a lot of players in the youth academies. So I don't know. I don't know if Tigres is going to be relevant after the Gignac era. I mean, I'm hoping they are, because obviously they're, great club, great, they got good history and stuff like that, and obviously they have, financial backing. But I mean, you could still be a rich club and be poorly managed.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just if Pachuca, I think Pachuca probably has the best chance of basically just cutting at America's lead. But I think for them to do that, I think they kind of have to break like ties with Leon, like completely, and just focus on Pachuca. That's one of the things. That's one of the things that has kind of like it's like Pachuca in the past 10 plus years and stuff like that. Yeah,
they're at 7 though. They're at 7. Mal aconsejado, mal asesorado, dude. They're at 7, man. You're looking at 20 years.
Espérate, güey.
Es que está meando bien fuera del hoyo y estás salpicando todo el grupo con esa run. Come on, man.
No, güey, también, pero también he's kind of outdated. Acuérdate, güey, they're trying to sell León like right now. They're having a hot sale for it.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, but even
still running off 98.
No, I understand that they're trying to sell it, but I don't believe it.
Güey, tu jefe fue a llorar a FIFA. about the multipropiedad, and now he has to sell it in order for them to stay in the Club World Cup.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
I think.
know,
Oh,
if
shit,
any-
porque es
if-
americanista.
No,
I think
it's not-
ultimately, though, if we're going to see like a significant change in the list of campeones, it's going to be like in a 10-year span or even 20. And so I think America's going to be sitting pretty for the next 20 years. Sorry to break it to you, Chi hermanos.
Yeah. And what's to
Take
say?
a seat.
What's to
Take a
say?
seat, dude. Take,
The thing is, it's like it's 16 for now, but I mean, the probability of them
Yeah,
winning a couple
in the
more
next-
and getting to 20
Yeah.
is high. Is
well, here's,
yeah.
All right,
well,
so
here's some more
here's-
bad news. But just let me finish really quick. Here's some more bad news. This is my prediction. I think I'm just going to sit up there for a good 20 years as just, king of the hill, man. They're not going to be touched. Chivas is the closest one they could get close to them, but at the rate they're going, they're more likely to get surpassed by Cruz Azul and Tigres. I think those two. I think Monterrey's too low at 5. So I do think they'll get more than that, but not to that point where they'll surpass Chivas. So I do see Cruz Azul and Tigres surpassing Chivas.
Tigres has 8, so they would have to get 4 or 5 to catch up to, to
4 is
Chivas.
not good. Hey, Tigres won 3 in a row. Other teams have won 2 in a row. It's not a lot.
My-
For like in 20-year span.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So
Go
here's
ahead.
my take, right? It all depends on something very important. Whether or not the short season format stays around. If
Bro, that's not going
if
anywhere.
hold on. If Mexico does something brave and changes to a long season
It
format,
doesn't make enough money. Why would they do that?
They could. I think they
it
could.
can make enough money. No
Yeah.
mames, way.
Bro,
it
Liguilla
can.
is the best part of Liga MX, dude. You're not going to take that away.
And you mean you can't do what the NBA did and have a mid-season tournament?
No, bro.
Yeah, you can. You can reintroduce La
Listen,
Copa MX.
You have the
Yeah.
opportunity to make a lot of
Like
money
you have ways
twice a
shit,
year.
and they
Yeah,
just
Copa
voted it
Occidente.
out. And they just fucking voted it out, right? Lo de la bomba. So the whole thing about Mexican greed, I get it. So once again, the words were if we do something brave and we go to a long season format, America's gonna sit at the top of the hill forever. Right? If we continue estas pendejaditas aquí, me vale verga, America's still gonna continue at the top forever. Like that's just the way it's gonna be in Mexican soccer.
Yeah, dude. Chivas are not winning dick if they go to a long season format. They have not been a team in first place for, I don't think I've ever seen it in my life. Maybe once, but it's so rare to see them in first place. Liguilla is
So
the
in
only
other
chance we
words-
got.
So in other words, mamarla putos. No hay de otra, no les queda de otra.
Está bueno, Cuau. Está bueno, ya. Soy un
think
anciano,
you guys
güey. Soy
are-
un pinche anciano.
Shit.
I think you guys are underestimating Toluca. I think they have such a spectacular squad right now that's pretty young, and they just got a good tournament coach in El
Yeah, but what
Turco.
the fuck did they do? They fucking lost. And they've had better teams that have not even gone this far. So I don't know,
Well,
dude.
you know, they had a star guy in Cardoso. They rode him, and they were one of the best teams in the early 2000s, right? Now they have another star player in Paulinho. You know, you hook this guy up right with a good tournament coach, and I could see them, passing 12.
I don't think
sure.
in modern times there is no like player like X factor that can carry and win multiple titles for a club. Like I think Liga MX is too competitive to say, oh, we have this player and that's it. We're gonna go on a fucking streak. Like even America, you can't really like name like one player that's like, oh, they won every title because of it was a collective group, really.
Yeah, you may have a point there. You know, I would say America's best player was Endejas, and he's by no means world class.
Really?
He's on form. Yeah, I thought he was their best player.
So not a
and-
Fidalgo, not a goalkeeper.
No, I thought it was Endejas, but you know, that's just my opinion.
He's a beast, dude. When he's on,
got
dude,
hot.
he's a fucking beast. I know he got hot at the right time.
I was gonna say Pachuca. You know, it's such a shame because Almada is done after this intercontinental tournament that Pachuca have surprised everybody with, beating Botafogo, the champion of Libertadores, the champion of Brazil, beating them 3-0 quite comfortably, and then going against Al Ahly in the African, champion, and having to have a dramatic victory in PKs. I watched that whole thing, and when they missed their first two, I'm like, this is over. This game's over. And somehow they were able to swing the momentum. One thing I've learned about PK shootouts, if you have the choice of picking what side you want to shoot or shooting first, shoot first. That is the moral of the story, because you put the pressure on the other team.
And just to continue with our theme on the whole crisis thing, that's the one thing with Pachuca where they didn't have a good season, and they held on to the coach, which a lot of clubs would have sacked him and then gone in with a whole different other coach into this tournament.
You finally have something to say?
I agree that the continuity of Almada definitely helped Pachuca, but this team played like crap for this last game. I was like, there was like nothing. They offered almost nothing, and they just nullified the team, the opposing team, and it really was skewed in Ali's. I believe that was the team's name, the Egyptian team. Like they're like a stone throw away. They were in Doha, which is in Qatar, which is a stone throw away from Egypt. So everyone in the stadium that was a supporter was, 99.9% were supporting the Egyptian team. And then, like Rondon missed his penalty, and then Borja, the Spaniard, who was specifically brought on to make his penalty, he also missed. And so I thought they were done. I was like, oh man. And then this Egyptian team, began to shit themselves, there and then. And more so than like by any merit by Pachuca, this was a blunder by the Egyptian team, because they had everything. They looked the more dangerous throughout the whole match. They had the home support. They had a home field advantage, and Pachuca gifted them the first two penalties because those two guys missed, and then somehow Pachuca, the panzazo, the chiripao, made it through, which is good for them. Like it takes grit to persevere in this sort of situation, but they were by no means the better team against the Egyptians.
I have a pet peeve. I don't know why fucking coaches keep doing this, but they always, like, right before they know they're going to go into a PK shootout, they make a quick sub and they bring in some fresh legs to take PKs, and they always fucking miss, bro. It's like, don't bring those players on just to take a PK. They haven't played a single minute. They haven't had no skin in the game. They don't, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's easier for them to just like miss because they're not warmed up yet. And I don't know why I always see that in football. Like, coaches be like, oh, this guy's really good at taking PKs, sub him in, and they end up missing.
That happened infamously with Zaza for Italy, where he did like the tippy toe run. He did like a ridiculous amount of tippy toeing, and then he ended up missing. And they brought him on only to shoot the penalties, and he fucking missed. But yeah, like I don't agree with that either. Like, you got to be hot and you got to want it, right? That's who should shoot it. Someone who's played and who wants to take it.
Yeah.
Or do the opposite, like the Dutch, and bring in the goalkeeper.
That's
Switch the
crazy.
goalkeeper right there.
That's a crazy one, to bring in Krul, and he's a PK specialist, and ended up, the gamble ended up paying off. But, looking at this intercontinental tournament, and, we're going to have the Club World Cup next year here in the States. I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed watching Pachuca represent Mexico, and to get to play against Real Madrid for us is like an honor, right? To put Liga MX on the map, to put Pachuca on the map. And, they have a fucking puncher's chance of doing some crazy shit tomorrow. They play at 9 a.m. I'll be watching it. The Tigres were pretty close to being Bayern Munich, so why not? Why not see Pachuca see this thing through and get to play against some big names in the world of football?
As y'all's personal hero says, ¿por qué no nos imaginamos cosas chingonas? ¿Verdad? Like, Pachuca actually has a fucking chance, guys. Because let's be honest, Real isn't playing the best football right now. All right, Mbappe isn't that thing to be afraid of
Yep.
unless you're afraid of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then be fucking terrified. All right, like they're like you said, bro. There's a puncher's chance where this might go beautifully. So you know what? While you're having pancakes in the morning, sipping on some mimosas, you can also watch some world class football and watch David take on Goliath and see how it turns out.
And another thing too is like this brings some validation to what we've been saying about Liga MX, that should we, had we stayed in Libertadores this whole time, we probably would have won a title or two by now. And I think the biggest shame is that next year in the Club World Cup, we're not really going to be represented by the teams that are in the best form. Like, yeah, you do have a Rayados there. Yeah, you have a Pachuca there, but Pachuca's, not going to have Almada anymore. And then you have Leon, who hasn't done a fucking thing. Like, it's a shame that we're not having, like, America there to properly represent the consistency and the talent that is in Liga MX at the world stage.
Therefore, my rebuttal is that it's a shame that America is a grande in Liga MX, but can't be one at the international stage. Because all they have to do is win a CONCACAF. But yet, apparently, that trophy they seem unable to get.
So one thing I'm going to be looking forward to tomorrow is the showing of the jovenazo that I've been touting this whole tournament, and that is Elias Montiel, 19-year-old center midfielder, played 120 minutes. I don't think he shot a penalty, or I think he did. I forget, but he's been pivotal this whole tournament. You got another kid named Owen Gonzalez. You got Brian Gonzalez. He's a left mid, left back who was called up for La Selección. So like the jovenazos of this tournament are on this team, right? Like I made a case for Miguel Vasquez, who plays for America, but like he didn't play in the final, and he was a bit part player. And then Efrain Alvarez and Gil Mora, they didn't look too good in the Liguilla. Like the guy in the postseason who's really holding it down. There's a guy who wasn't even in the postseason, and that's Elias Montiel, the best jovenazo to come out this tournament. He's amazing, and I've been touting him this whole time. Still only 19 years old, 3 lungs, and the world ahead of him. I can't wait to see what he becomes.
You think that this platform tomorrow will potentially get his ass to Europe?
I hope so. Like hell yeah, the whole world's gonna be watching him. If he has a good showing against Los Merengues, who knows what could happen. I would love for him to go to Europe. I think he has the intangibles to be a world class player in the sense that he's got a good touch, he's fast, he can run for a long time, and he's got this maturity to him that is rare in a 19-year-old, especially for a Mexican 19-year-old.
Yeah, I'm afraid that this Pachuca team is going to get absolutely dismantled this offseason after they finish. Obviously, starting with the coach and whatever pickings are left on the team. Even King Solomon, I'm sure he's going to have some good offers, and Pachuca will take it.
That's their MO though, Mijaime. That's how they stay relevant. That's how them while they're hot.
By the time they by the time they play the Club World Cup, they'll be toothless.
I think they'll be smart about that, and I think they've been planning accordingly, and I think they'll have something in place for that.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll go that.
See, my criticism for Pachuca's planning is that they always sacrifice a tournament. They always sacrifice 6 months to a year in the rebuilding process. And the thing is they're going to be representing Mexico in the Club World Cup. And if they're dismantled now, like I don't see them rebuilding in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, for them to like solidify a team for the next tournament that can be like competitive for the Club World Cup in the summer. Like, so I
think they probably already have like the play because they have like good scouts, good connections in South America, so that they would bring in they could have already like four players already lined up to come in and strengthen the team, and then they'll keep some of their other youth that are on the up and up, and that will
I don't
be it.
know.
But I don't think
I see
they
this
have
team
like
getting dismantled after this tournament.
yeah yeah. But I'm saying if I'm saying yeah they'll get dismantled, but they're already with that money that they're gonna bring in other good players, like just how they found Rondon
We'll see.
and others like that too. Well, that's kind of been their MO for years, and it's part of the reason they've been so successful.
Hmm.
And so I do think that they're going to continue. They're going to, at least at the very least, be competitive and not show up and get washed. You know, they be cheeks. I do think they'll go in and put up a fight, but I don't think they have like they don't have like the resources to not sacrifice. That's just how they how they manage to stay in the clear. Same with Santos would do the exact same thing, and it's worked well for them.
Yeah, for me, like obviously every weekend, every team's an enemy. But I'll be honest, the very few times a year or couple years that Liga MX has a chance to get showcased on the world stage, like I get excited for it.
Would you get excited if it was Ame?
I would get excited if it was America because it's at the end of the day, bro. It's like like I want more people to know about Liga MX. I want this podcast to blow up and have people that are not from Mexican Americans to be able to talk and because it's an entertaining league. We have a lot of talent.
Yeah,
And around this time of the year, it's always the Club World Cup, and you're waking up at like 5-6 in the morning to watch some of these games. You're watching, fucking Pachuca play against some random team in Asia. I remember when Chivas won the Conca Champions and they fucking embarrassed themselves, but it's like still that joy of seeing your team at a world stage and world platform and see how they do against the best in the world. And I'm excited for tomorrow, and I've enjoyed Pachuca's mini run that they've had. It's just putting validation to the league that we are a force to be reckoned with, and how badly we miss Libertadores because League's Cup is just it's not prestigious. Playing against your neighbors, it's like playing against your little brother, bro. It's like you're not really taking it serious, Like I play FIFA with my nephews, and like I'll go at like fucking half speed and let them think that they're winning, and then like that meme goes like, all right, let me fucking roll up my sleeves and kick their ass, But it's like at least in Libertadores, you had the excitement of like, how do we stack up against Brazil and Argentina and sometimes Venezuela, sometimes Ecuador. It's like Chile, it's like those are the matches that bring the most joy to me, in my opinion.
Shit, dude, I used to schedule my college classes around Libertadores. God,
Yeah.
I used to fucking love that. Like, I didn't want to take class. I didn't want to take courses on Wednesdays or Thursdays because that's usually when they have the Copa Libertadores matches. And back then, it was hard. It was hard as hell to watch Libertadores.
Yeah,
You had to go into these fucking
it was
dangerous.
paywall.
Yeah, you had to go into these dangerous
Bro,
fucking.
I've been to some sketchy ass
pool
shit
halls.
places in Mexico, like in Zacatecas too, man. It's like these bars where I was the only kid there, and like I don't even know how I got in. I'm like, I'm just trying to watch my Chivas play. Fuck.
No, it's
Yeah.
funny because I remember, I used, over there in Houston back when I lived in Houston, like the only bar that I played, that had Libertadores was a pool hall called Rita's. I don't know if they're still there or not, but I mean, it was fucking dangerous, dude. It was mostly fucking Central Americans and South Americans, and like it's like every time a Mexican team played, it was basically
Like-
everybody was
Like hate on them,
against
right?
the Mexican. Oh fuck yeah!
Everybody was hating.
Yeah. So it's like I mean
Yeah,
I
no.
remember I remember when America played what was it what was it Bolivar and I think I want to say in the 2002 no 2000 or 2002 Libertadores, and so that was a Bolivian team, and I remember there was this Bolivian guy who was just talking about how they were just they were gonna pepper that Angus. oh, America's not going to be able to fucking play, because they're not going to be able to do it because of the altitude. And I'm like, you do realize Mexico City is also in high altitude, right? And and it's like America fucking just spread them cheeks, and they just like the place was getting fucking rowdy, dude. I mean, there are times, dude, where I didn't even want to celebrate, dude, because it's just the
Yeah,
fucking
you're
riff raff and
I'm the
and
only
low
one
lives
here,
that
you
were
know? Yeah.
Ron, going back, those were and those games used to be closed circuit, so not even
yeah.
pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It was closed circuit, so you had to find a spot. And I remember watching the Boca versus Cruz Azul at a strip club, and the reason I saw
Strip
it there
club.
was like, dude, I got the newspaper because man, we're going that far back, you know. So I get the newspaper, I go to the fucking. They had in the sports section, they had like in the ad section, the places that were going to show the game were advertising it, and that was the closest to me. And I told my cousin I didn't even have a car. Do you want to go? I'll pay your entrance. And it was not fun, dude. I know it
Wow.
sounds like fun.
The
You
sacrifices
guys,
you had to make.
nah, dude, it wasn't fun, bro. Because it's a sausage fest in there, man. It's not like the regular where you take your seat. It was fucking like crowd. Like dude, there was dudes sitting on the stage. That's how packed it was. And it's not like you're enjoying it. It's not like them chicks were walking around, because it's just you couldn't fit a pin needle in there. And then it's like, can you go to the bathroom because you lose your position? And I was like, fuck. But yeah, it wasn't fun, man. It was fun, but it wasn't. Um, yeah, it's so great now how it's more accessible now, and
Mm.
you can miss the game and you can still go on social media and catch the goals. Like I saw the penales you were talking about, the Pachuca versus the Egyptian team,
Yep.
and it was a Brazilian narrating. It made it more fun.
I bet.
It's
Yeah.
it's on X. It's on X. I'll see if I find it if it pops up on my timeline. But before you missed it, bro. Someone would tell you. Someone would have to tell you.
Yeah.
You're just relying on their. You're relying on
Yeah.
the retelling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I see it, you wouldn't even believe him. You'd be like, I don't know, bro. I just like that shit sounds sus. You mean Idrisi made like dos recortes, el güey de Botafogo hasta se tira hacia atrás y mete un puto golazo? Los pendejos de Pachuca, güey. Espérate, el güey que me estaba empacando la compra la semana pasada, ese güey.
Number 286, still in school.
Wait, I think my tia's his teacher. Like, he says he's a shit student, but he's nice with the ball. So I guess it's true.
You imagine, being a canterano from Pachuca, and you are there. You're against Mbappe, Vini, Jude Bellingham, like the people that you play on FIFA every night. Like you're literally on
That's
the
a
same
trip. Yeah.
on the same pitch as them, bro. Your balls haven't even dropped yet. You're over there playing in a final, dude. It's what the game's all about, dude. It's for those kind of matchups.
Yeah, I do hope that that's what motivates them and that pushes them to have a really good game. All those points you were
I
making.
hope they win. I hope they put Liga MX on the map, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is a Pachuca? What the how they, what is this team like?"
What I was gonna say, as of right now, the best pronunciation of Pachuca that I have ran across on the internet is the Brazilians going Pachuca, like doing the abuget, and it's fucking great. It's just Pachuca because it's going through whipping the ass of everyone. Now, what I was gonna say was, those little kids' dreams got fulfilled the moment that the preparador físico looked at him and was like, "Hey, Josué, ¿tienes pasaporte?" And he's like, "No, profe, ¿por qué?" Güey, porque nos vamos para Doha. Like, that's it. That's their dream come true at that moment. Now, the fact that they're facing against these legends in their eyes, dale, mijo. Ahora vete a partirles la madre.
For real.
Like, go show them what you're about. Enséñale que eres morenito y de barrio. So, órale.
Yeah, I think one of the things about the Mexican teams is that usually when they face superior opposition, they usually go out more inspired. I mean, we've seen it a lot with the Mexican national team, where even if they lost, they played a really great game, or a really good game. I think we saw that in Libertadores too, because a lot of Mexican teams wouldn't send their best squads. They weren't all taking it serious, and even those teams would end up getting really great results. So here's something we see a repeat of that.
I got a question. Pachuca wins this title tomorrow against Real Madrid. Will they go down as the biggest, not the biggest, but the most successful club in Liga MX? At least on the international stage?
At the international stage, I would say, yeah, combined with their other tournament they won, the Sudamericana.
Yeah.
Watch them at those stars to their shirt, bro.
I mean, at this point, the question is, how do you measure success? Because by the just standard definition of the word, yes.
I think so. I think on the international stage, they've been the most successful, right? I mean, they have 6 Conca champions. I know America probably has more.
But here's the deal. You can't just judge it. You can't just judge it by championships. Like, everyone buys from them. La Liga está sostenida by Pachuca. Like, they crank out players. They do all of these things. Like, Pachuca is a successful club regardless of whether or not they win championships. Like, that's the beauty of Pachuca. Like, that's why that project is fucking incredible, right? Because they always sell their teams. They always rebuild them with youth. Then they sell those teams. It's a machine that keeps working. And now they're having this success internationally where they have had it before. Like, dude, has to be named as the most successful, right? Like, America es el más grande. Pachuca is the most successful.
Yeah. Just to recap, 6 CONCACAF Champions Cups, 1 CONMEBOL Sudamericana, which such a great title to fucking flex on South Americans. And then they've won 2. They won the Challenger Cup and the Derby of the Americas. Those are the ones that they won, beating Botafogo and beating Al-Ahly. And let's not forget their most prestigious international title that they've won, the North American Superliga in 2007.
Wait, I remember that one. Esa estuvo cabrona.
Yeah. I was still really salty about the Superliga because we had a not career but season-ending injury for one of our goalkeepers, and yeah, we were all out of sorts that season because of that tournament. Anyways, guys, we're at the 2.5 hour mark. Want to put a bow tie on this episode to give you guys your opportunity to have some closing thoughts, and appreciate everyone's participation this year for sure. It's been a big one.
Well, I'll volunteer and I'll go first. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure spending time with you. Dear listener, I'm sorry that you've had to hear my voice for this long. Pero ¿sabes qué, puto? Va a haber mucho más porque no me voy a ningún puto lado. Estoy aquí para esto, soy futbolero, and we'll talk about it more, man. I hate to say this, pero you know what, Ron? Congratulations. Good fucking job. You know, I'm happy que eres americanista porque, ¿sabes qué, güey? I haven't felt that type of happiness, and I don't think I will. You know, and that's because I beat my wife every now and then. Like, I don't know how you do it, but congratulations, Wayne. And we'll see what next tournament goes, and we'll just keep hating and shit talking each other. Para todos los demás, me la pela putos y los vemos la próxima. Ah, y se me olvida algo, güey. Cuando venga tu primo, güey, bien ay, güey, like bien prepotente, bien mamón, y te trate de decir de los terrenos, métele un putazo en el hocico y dile que esos son tuyos, güey. Tú fuiste a cuidar a tu abuelita cuando nadie iba, la bañabas, le calentabas el agua, le hacías su té de manzanilla, hacías todo eso. Todos los demás, güey, que se vayan a chingar su madre. All right? Y con eso, pasen buenas Navidad.
Thanks, Abdias. Always a good sport. I don't know if I would have been able to show face after having such a historic season, most points accumulated, and then to lose to America, and then see them pick up the three-peat. I'm surprised you're here, but we appreciate you.
And then to defend them way when Ron was in here and all that. Like
Yeah,
it's fucking disgusting, but the things that we do.
the things that we do. Who's next?
All right, I guess I'll go next. I just want to go ahead and toot my own horn real quick. You know, after America defeated Cholos, I knew better than to underestimate them. I I saw Monterrey as the as the what's it called? I don't know, the letdown team that they are. You know, and then I knew that Cruz Azul wouldn't be able to shake the monkey off their back. So kudos to Club America. I'm by no means happy that they won, but they were the best team in the Liguilla, and they deserve the three-peat. So good for them. As And then my final closing thought will be just my predictions on how the game's going to go out tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time. For those of you who don't know, Pachuca is playing Real Madrid. I think Almada is going to go ahead and come out a lot like he did against the Egyptian team. He's going to just try to neutralize them and then just press them for as long as they can. And then when they're tired, they're just going to go ahead and curl up near their goal and just close space and give them a few kicks like they did against the Egyptian team, and hopefully that works out. I can't wait to see what my boy Elias Montiel does. I hope he does well, and then who knows? Like they're a good counterattacking team. Players like Idrisi, Solomon Rondon,
Mm-hmm.
they can be clinical. They can be dangerous,
Absolutely.
and Real Madrid has shown to be with faults, cracks in the armor. They've shown cracks in the armor, but they're also a great tournament team, probably the best tournament team ever. So I'm not too hopeful. I would like Pachuca to win, representing Mexico. Um, but I do think it's going to be a gritty game by them. I think they're going to. He's going to go like a real conservative lineup, and like that Colombian guy Odessa, I forget his name. We're not going to see him till the second half when when we need to like score a goal, or we want to like take it into overdrive, because he's really good on the ball and he's tall and he's strong, but he's not the best defender, is what I've noticed. So Almada sacrificed him against the Egyptian team, and then threw him on against tired legs, and he created a chance or two for the Tuzos, and I think he's going to do the same. Anyways, it's going to be a good game tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. You guys should watch it. And those are my closing thoughts. Thanks for having me.
It's been an awesome addition to the panel this year, Rifalo. Appreciate everything you've done, bringing a new voice to the podcast, and also all of your research on all the youths in Liga MX. It's been a pleasure having you on this year. Who is next?
I'll go next. I just want to thank the listeners. Thank you guys for following us and being part of the podcast. We got back the analytics from Spotify, and we got really good ratings. So that's a positive. Shows we're headed in the right direction. So thank you for your support, giving us a like, a follow, a retweet. All of that helps. Thank you again.
Hell yeah. Gotta leave the last but not least the America fan. Ron. You still on here, Ron?
Yeah, I'm still on here. I'm still on.
Closing thoughts.
A mamarla. No les queda de otra, cabrones. Siguen mamándola, ¿eh? No, other than that, I think it was Rifaldo saying that, I think he was talking about the game against the Cholos and stuff like that, like as to when he thought they were going to win. It's funny because I was talking to the guys about that, and Hoyle said that he had a feeling that America was going to, push through and get the championship after the Toluca series, and I I said that I had a feeling that America was going to push through and get the three-peat when the chat room became a ghost town because they didn't want to be around me. Jaime, do you have that clip of Ric Flair, the one that I posted?
Which one? Wait, did you post it recently or?
I posted it a couple of days. It's like
I haven't seen it.
I'm gonna be more overbearing, more obnoxious, and you're gonna learn to love it.
That's funny.
So no, it's just like I said, I'm really, really happy. It's just too much winning going on around,
Yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can play this. Oh wait. Oh, hold on.
I can hear the women in the back cheering him. All those girls in the back cheering.
Cocaine is one hell of a drug. Holy shit, dude. It's funny because there's a comment on the YouTube that says Trump's 2024 victory speech.
The guys haven't seen the voice messages that I keep, that I was sending the guys.
Yeah. No, I've been listening to those. They've been great. Well, everyone, it's been the best year of my personal life. Had a lot of chapters in my life that I was able to close. Got married, bought a house, and it's been an incredible year seeing this podcast grow, seeing you guys all participate, and our listeners and our viewership grow. Dropping our name into credentials and getting approved for matches. It's been a dream, and very happy to be part of this panel with everyone listening. Don't have any closing thoughts. I really hope that Pachuca can make Liga MX proud tomorrow against Real Madrid. And why not dream of beating them and putting that title and bringing it back to Mexico and putting them on the map. That's what I really hope for tomorrow. And this will be the last episode for the year. So everyone, please enjoy the holiday season. Enjoy your family, your friends, and make sure to drink twice the amount you normally would for those that are not with us. Drink for them in spirit and appreciate the moments you have with the ones that you love. Thank you, and everyone, hope you have a fantastic night. We'll catch you on the next one. YouTube, still here. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for your support. I love the comments. I love the shit talking. Let there be more of that.